Blam. We're out.
Are we going?
Yeah.
Or are we out?
We're out.
Welcome to Megan's medical emergency.
What is going on?
Thank you for joining us
Hi,
today.
everyone. I've got the stream open. We're live. Welcome back. Thank you so much for taking us live. We're back. It's only been a month since we have played. And I just honestly, do we want to skip the introductions and just go right in? Like, can we do that at this point? Because it is, well, I guess more importantly, there is one thing that we do need to cover with everybody else. It's that it's our 1 year anniversary.
Yay!
Yay! We are 1 year old. We are this many in the Chocolatiers, which is both impressive and terrifying. Pandemic life is a thing. Yeah. So, we're gonna play some Dungeons and Dragons. My name is Dom. We've got Aery playing Bryn. Why don't you go ahead and say a little bit about your... We'll do intros. We'll just go for it.
I'm Aery. I'm playing Bryn. I'm a paladin.
Excellent. Up next, we've got Emmy.
Hi, I'm Nicole. I play Emmy. She's a menace.
True. Accurate.
Accurate, yeah. Level 6 menace. Of course, the older sister, Oriana.
7? Level 7?
Level 7? Level 7?
8.
Level 7.
What?
Level 8.
Level 8.
Level
Oh no,
Level
I'm
8.
behind.
Uh-oh.
Hi, I'm Mel. I play Oriana. She's a cleric, and she's a whole level behind everybody else because I forgot to do an update. I'll do
I
that
see you
now.
as a level 8 on...
And she's
Turn
still
it
our
on.
party tank.
Really? Shit.
I do.
Just an AC
Oh.
of like 22. It's what the
Say
fuck?
lovey.
Wait.
While we get through the rest of the introductions, Aery!
Hi, I'm Kat. I play Aery. He's gay.
Awesome. Love it. And Natalie.
Hi, I'm Natalie. I'm.
We are struggling today.
I'm out.
We're on the
I'm
struggle
a
bus.
half orc. Yo, have fun. Let's just play.
Let's play Dungeons and Dragons. All right, roll for initiative or something.
Only
Last
getting
time,
worse from here.
it really is. Last time we played Dungeons and Dragons, the party was in Valater. They were on their way to have a meeting with the king, specifically at Oriana's request, to try to perform some sort of restoration on the king's illness that has been incapacitating him of late.
That was right.
Yeah,
That's good, yeah.
Incapacitating. Yeah.
Incapacitating sounds weird. Putting him under the weather. On the way there, the party encountered Shazarash, who once again was wearing Aery's face. He claimed it was for a very good reason because he was being chased and was trying to do some business. And turns out he was being chased by two very imposing individuals who were identified as visionists and were subsequently, one of them was killed. Whether or not it was accidental, the world may never know.
It was.
That was accidental. I think that was pretty clear cut. The idiot did it to himself.
The other one decided to try to run and was captured when his magical wings were effectively shut down. And bringing that individual to the central keep of Valater, they handed the individual off to the guards before they were pulled out by El Romior to come to breakfast just a little bit late as a result of the interrogations from the guards. And upon entering into the large sort of dining hall, dappled sunlight is sort of shining through across the warm interior. Many of the tables and chairs have sort of been pushed aside for the guest quarters. There's still a large, sort of like a broad oak table across the dais at one end of the hall, where you see the king along with Silence and Naladri, and another seat for El Romior. And as the five of you enter into the room, they all sort of rise to greet you. You can see a pretty comfortable spread of food has been put out across the table. Some variety of baked goods, from muffins and sweets to different types of breads. The sweet sort of syrup of like almost what is it, like cured fruit is sort of wafting up. So there's sort of this flowery scent. And in addition to that, you actually do see that scattered across the top of this table, there are a number of small, sort of like flower buds that appear to have been cut and displayed to create sort of this artistic presentation in front of you. But the five of you stand at the entrance on the far end of the hall, and the king greets you. Welcome. Please come take a seat. Before we get to business, it might be wise if everyone is well fed. What would you like to do?
Graciously take a seat in a polite way where you would absolutely be looking at everyone else to kind of direct as to what is the polite way to do that.
Yeah. El Romeo is still with you, and he seems to be like a little bit nervous with the fact that he just had to extricate you from the guard captain in order to get you here to breakfast on time.
Not our fault.
Yeah,
Not your fault.
I'm sure we're feeling a little whiplashed a tad as well.
But you can see that he quickly starts making his way across the hall, and he seems to be setting a pace so as to the rest of you to follow over to the table. And again, making your way across, you can see that next to the raised dais, this sort of like large double door swings open, and sort of coming out with a large platter of what looks to be like a freshly roast ham, like a full size like ham across this platter, like split open, steam rising up into the air, is the chef that you recognize from when you were here prior. And he seems to be kind of whistling to himself, and he almost kind of like happily makes his way up to the dais and places down the platter and seems to almost break the sort of awkward spell of these people meeting. His complete nonchalance to the situation, like, he's a cook, he made the food, he's bringing it out to the table, doesn't matter who's sitting at it, doesn't matter who the guests are, he's just whistling and having himself a grand old time. You see Natalie kind of like smiles as she looks at him set it down, and the king looks over to the rest of you and motions to the seats before sitting himself.
Aery will, like wait for the king to sit before he sits.
Absolutely.
Same.
Yeah. Same with Bryn.
He plops himself down, and you can already see like half of an omelet along with like a couple of potatoes consumed on his plate. It seemed he waited a small amount of time, but food was put in front of him, and he was like, "I'm going to eat." And silence. You actually see as he sits down at the table. He's got a very light breakfast. He has like 2 slices of cantaloupe and a cup of coffee next to him. Natalie immediately just reaches over for the ham, and you can see she just starts scooping over a couple of slices before El Romeo kind of makes his way around the table and fills like a bowl with granola, and then starts putting in like yogurt to sort of mix the whole thing up. But the table is yours. El Romeo seems to be like intently trying not to draw attention to the fact that he just had to extricate you from the guards. He's like just completely zoned in on this muesli. And the king regards each of you. How are each of you this morning?
Very well. Thank you very much for asking.
Yes, quite well. How are you feeling today?
Doing well. Keeping healthy. I am a bit curious as to your delays. Just a few minutes, but did something cause you any trouble on the way over?
Comparative to what we had faced, oh no, not at all. I do apologize for the inconvenience of us running late. We were stopped on the road very briefly.
It is no inconvenience at all. As you can see, I've already begun. I hope you don't mind.
Of course
And
not.
he starts digging in. Is there something specific you would like for breakfast?
It seems like there is an array of all kinds of things. We couldn't ask any more of you, Your Majesty.
It. I must be completely honest. I'm not asking for myself. Fabian, and he kind of like looks over to the end of the table, and you can see the chef is still just kind of like sort of standing at the end of the dais, looking at the five of you expectantly, like his big old pot belly just kind of hanging out, the apron over the top of it. He's kind of stopped whistling, and he seems to be like, he has a look that says like, challenge me.
There's like so much food here already, though, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'll take like it's a small selection of fruits from the table, mostly just to be polite because it would seem rude not to eat anything.
Mhm.
Do you have? There was back a few years ago. I remember it was all the craze. These like really like weird, fluffy kind of breads, and then they would put all kinds of like delicious like meats and cheeses and stuff in them. Do you do those here? Did that ever reach all the way over here? Like, have you ever had like a croissant? It's like that, but like a loaf of bread.
It sounds familiar. And he kind of looks over to Fabian with like this questioning glance. But by the time you have looked, Fabian is like already walking back into the kitchen, and you can see he's like holding his back up like a little bit taller, just cheerfully whistling once again as he makes his way into the back. The king kind of like
Yeah,
waits a
I just
moment
made
before-
that up.
Yeah. He waits a moment before Fabian like disappears through the door before like leaning forward. I don't know if he knows exactly what that is, but regardless, you will be having an opportunity to taste your improvised creation relatively shortly.
I'm curious to see what he makes.
As am I. I wish you luck.
This is going to sound incredibly weird, but I just had a thought. And I don't even know that necessarily I would be a very good person to do this. But seeing as we are having breakfast, like having food, I would like to see if I can see if the king is eating in a way that is different to the nobility around him.
Okay. So
like,
I would say that would be an
insight, maybe? I'm not sure.
Okay, so we'll do a couple of things. We could do this a couple of different ways. We could do history, then insight, or we could do perception, then insight. And the purpose of the
would
first
be
roll.
pretty good with a perception into an insight. Sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah. So the first roll is to kind of decide like, how should nobility eat versus how should the people around you eat. That's like perception and like looking and getting a gauge for everything. And then the second roll would be like him specifically in relation to that.
Okay.
So yeah, let's do a perception roll and then an insight check.
All right.
That's a good idea. That's cool.
Sorry, I just had the thought and I was like, gotta give it a go.
Yeah.
Oh, it's terrifying.
Why are you terrified?
No.
That's only the
No,
first
it's
roll.
not. No, it's not. No, it's
You're fine. This is perception,
a
yeah?
natural one.
Natural one?
That's terrifying.
You... So you kind of like take a look across the table and you see Silence, and he's, back like rod straight, sort of like holding a small fork and knife and just like cutting the pieces off of the cantaloupe before eating them. You can see El Romior is like just full ham fisting with the spoon, the muesli, to like try not to think about what just happened. But what actually catches your attention isn't so much the king, but Naladri. As she is eating with the ham, you can see that her hand, the hand that she's using to hold the knife, or sorry, the hand that she's using to hold the fork is trembling. And she still seems to be like happy, but as she's like cutting slices, the other hand is trembling. And it actually becomes noticeable to the point where it's not like making a lot of noise, but you can hear like the clatter of metal on the plate a little bit. And that, I think, catches your attention more than anything else. As far as like a degree of nobility, everyone seems to have their own level of comfort with which they're eating. The king, he's eating an omelet, so it's not particularly, I don't want to say noble or unnoble, but nothing stands out to you with that natural one. Yeah.
I just really don't know how people eat.
Yeah. I'll let you make an insight check, though, if you want.
I mean, I'll give it a go because to me, I've worked it out. Everyone just eats the same way, you know? Like the way that they do it. This is not overly good either. So that's a natural 6, so that gets me to an 8.
Yeah, so the DC was higher because of the natural 1.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean...
You really can't tell. Like, the closest that you've come to nobility, now that you think about it, is your party. Bryn and Aery and Emmy and Oriana. You've seen them in fine establishments, presented with fine food, eating well, but you've also seen them at a campfire after a battle, eating from like a bag of rations. So you get the sense that like the king is eating properly enough for the setting. Whatever that degree of proper is, you have no idea.
Okay.
But he seems comfortable.
I will then adapt that for myself. I will find a big old hunk of drumstick and I will just eat into it.
Yes, the drumstick from the ham. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm just imagining there's something around.
They're winged pigs. Yeah.
Some
they're
kind of
pigs.
like bone.
The entire
thing.
like
pull off a whole leg.
Just
it's Dungeons and Dragons. You get the wing off the pig.
Why not? It's flying pigs, you know? They always said when pigs fly, it's...
like pork wings instead of buffalo wings.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what buffalo wing is in D&D.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
It's an actual wing of buffalo. Yeah. You grab yourself some food. Naladri notices you observing everyone eating, and she seems almost like a little embarrassed that you like look at all of this. Because as she takes note, she kind of observes you for a second before she puts down the fork and like rests her hand in her lap. And you notice like it doesn't tremble or anything there, but she continues to eat the rest of the meal with one hand.
How dare. How far away is she from me?
I would say she's across the table, and I would say she's probably just like across the table from you.
I can't have that happen. I will just kind of gesture, like say towards her, but not like kind of open to the table, and just not often sitting down to public eating affairs like this. It's usually eating on the road. I'm not really... Please bear with me. Trying my best. You'll eat so nicely. Not something I'm used to.
She sort of looks up at you and gives a smile. I get that sometimes. And she kind of looks over and looks at Silence and the king. And you can see like a little bit of, not like a disconnect, but where Silence is like sitting with perfect posture and eating these like small bites, and the king has just like this regality. There is something just like not there in regards to the formality of the situation with the Landry, which is in some ways somewhat reassuring, but also
I get you.
a little disconcerting.
They wouldn't really, if you haven't been raised on manners, it's not like something that, like, yeah, I get you. I'm with you.
And at this point, the king turns and, so then, where are you from? If you haven't, certainly your attire is impressive, but I must admit, fully unnecessary. This is breakfast, not business.
I understand. I come from I don't know where I actually come from. What was the mountain range called again?
So it was Pikes.
Pikes.
Was the range.
Yeah, there we go.
You were the foothills of northern Pikes.
For some reason, I had a white wine in my brain, and
oh
that's
yeah,
where that came
Pikes
from.
of Joys.
Yeah, close enough.
I come from an Orcish tribe out in the Pikes Mountains. It's not really a lot of formal sitting places up there. A lot of great feasts, but...
I must admit that's rather surprising. Most half-orcs raised by their tribes stay with their tribes. Forgive me for perhaps presupposing, but what has inspired you to leave them at adventure with such a diverse group of people?
Well, I was brought up on stories of my father and his heroic exploits, and I wanted to do something similar. And a situation occurred that kind of jump-started that adventure for me.
I understand. I also grew up hearing stories of heroes and adventurers, and do still entertain the occasional fancy of running away and slaying dragons and all of that, but sometimes life is a bit too busy and important for that. And you can see ever so slightly Silence kind of like just little nod, just barely bobs the head like, yeah.
Such a hype man, just like oh yeah. But
and the rest of you, how have you come to adventuring?
Well, I'm so glad he didn't ask where we were from.
Why?
Yeah,
Where are you from?
Eminence is just gonna look at Oriana like, you can feel this one.
Damn, I was hoping she'd answer that. Oriana will kind of look at her sister and just say, we are on a family... getting to know each other. What's a word for getting to know each other trip? I can't think of that in my own head. Oriana knows words. I don't.
Bonding session?
Yeah, something like that.
Family
Like, it's
bonding,
a
yeah.
family bonding experience. Just getting to know each other away from the pressures of family.
That sounds very lovely. That sounds very nice. And he's just continuing. He's like through the bowl of muesli, just like furiously chewing. Well, that's good. Did you not know each other prior? I gather that the two of you are related to some degree.
Half sisters.
I see. Did you know each other before this journey?
Oh,
Not as well as we do
each
now.
other. Yes, we've grown up together in a manner of speaking.
I'm not sure I understand. If this is not something you wish to discuss, we can talk about something else.
Oh, it's not a problem, it's just rather complicated.
Well,
Just a tad.
all right. And what about you two?
Oh, well, I was encouraged by my mother after my father passed to go out and see the world. I assisted him with much of his work, but had yet to really travel out myself. He was quite an accomplished scholar, so many of his writings detailed experiences that I had not witnessed. So going out and helping people and improving the world in ways which I can was very appealing to myself.
Interesting. El Romeo, you have many books and writings. Perhaps something your father has written has found its way into our library, and El Romeo are kind of... Yes. Do you happen to have as the name of any titles, or perhaps his name as an author?
Oh, yes,
be
Dirk
something
van
familiar.
Soffel was his full name.
That sounds familiar. Excuse me for a moment. And he kind of pushes the chair back and just stands up and very quickly just is making his way to the door. And you can see he's kind of like repeating the name to himself as he makes his way out of here, very clearly like going to check.
He has never had a chill moment in his life, has he?
He loosens up, well, when he drinks enough. But that is usually a rare occasion and often takes a lot of encouragement to get him to that point. He values his work. Not unlike some others. At which point Silence has sort of like finished his 2 slices of cantaloupe and has like perfectly placed his fork and knife next to the plate and is just like sipping his coffee and looks over and sets it down. Well, either way, it is much appreciated that you are coming out to help people after your father's footsteps. And what have you? What has led you here? Why are you adventuring?
Oh, well, my reasoning is not quite so selfless. I was just very bored. I wanted to try something new. I spent many years in the courts of Trelloran, and it kind of got stale, so I wanted to, have some adventure, and then I made these friends, and now we go and we do adventure together, and it's great.
I certainly understand. Not every reason to adventure has to be selfless or for the disposition of others. Regardless of your desire, it is appreciated that you are doing this. I am curious, have the rest of you, each of you, I should say, your group, have you been on many adventures? How long have you been together? How long have you known each other?
We met over a year ago now, I believe.
Oh. Fairly
Yes.
young as far as things go.
Relatively, but experiences do tend to expedite the bonding of a party. So I feel that we're getting to know each other quite well by now.
That sounds like you have some impressive experiences then. Tell me if you have any stories or tales of anything fun or fantastic. As I said, I've read stories and heard them growing up, so I'd love to hear how things are going in the current and modern day.
Have you been through that big area of fog, or whatever it is, like on the way to your city?
The Mistland, yes.
Yeah, that's the one.
It's
We
the-
encountered a very horrifying creature in there,
Mm.
and I think we killed it. Who can tell? But
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure we did. I think we took care of it. Doesn't mean it's not the only one, but that one I believe we took care of.
Horrifying.
pretty exciting though.
Hmm.
He kind of looks over to Silence and Naladri before turning back. Horrifying creature. Do you mind describing it?
Oh, yes, I believe it was an undead creature of some sort. And Bryn will like go over like the kind of shrouded like figure, like the cloak, and go into the description of like once the sun hit it, like kind of horrific appearance. So really, it was very convenient. I didn't actually even, full disclosure, I didn't know that the moonbeam would interact that way with the fog, but it was very beneficial for us once we had it in sunlight.
Yes, that seems quite harrowing. That is unfortunate. I know with Goldford's demise, trade hasn't exactly been thriving on the North Road, but I still wonder, Silence, could we dispatch some individuals to take a look at the Mistland and see if there are more of these creatures? And Silence just,
But
again.
if you do that, please tell them try not to look at them. Because
Oh no, that was very bad. Looking directly at it was very bad to look directly at it.
It was so ugly.
Not look at it like some sort of basilisk, but undead.
I mean, maybe that kind of effect adjacent of it. It just made you feel really, really bad anytime you looked at it directly.
So bad.
So bad. I mean, you were fine afterwards, but at the time, so bad.
If you were already experienced, we would either hire the job out to some guards or wait for another band of adventurers to come through. Would you at all be interested in investigating? Usually, the Mistlands have been around for somewhere around 20 to 25 years. They have slowly grown up to a certain size before stopping entirely and seem to be of the same size, but though the mist itself has housed ruffians seeking to take advantage of the low visibility, actual creatures and monsters sounds new and is concerning.
You didn't know that they were like living in there?
We've known that the Mistlands have been there for a long time, but it hasn't been a problem. Most caravans that have gone through have been able to do so without difficulty for most of the year, but for bandits and thieves, most of which usually make their way back over towards the pot. But with adequate guards and patrols, it hasn't been a problem. But undead is not new. Undead is not old. That is new. That is something that should be handled.
We did receive warning. We met some traveling with some merchants that were on their way to deliver a shipment of wood elsewhere, who we got the warning from. So, I mean, they didn't mention undead specifically, but they had mentioned staying on the path and losing yourself and dangers. One of them did say that there was some kind of demon in the fog, I believe, but they were kind of, the rest of their companions didn't seem to believe them too much. So this may not be the first sighting of them.
You know how merchants can be sometimes. Buy this potion. It'll make you incredibly powerful. 200 gold, and it's cherry water.
They were right, though. They warned us, and there was something there.
In this circumstance, yes. Either way, I think we'll see if we can whip up some sort of contract if you are interested, if you are willing to be hired out for something like this.
Yes, I don't believe that we have anything else on our agenda as of yet, and that we will probably be traveling through that way anyway. So, two birds, one stone, as it were.
That would be
fine
good.
with me. How do the rest of you feel about it? Well, that sounds like a yes.
Yeah, Oriana's not going to say anything, but she's gonna kind of shrug and nod.
Natalie, potential round 2 with whatever those things were.
I'm gonna be very honest. I spaced because I had a brainwave about something that I needed to do. Because I went through my notes. What are we agreeing to?
To checking out, the mistlands and seeing if we can find more of those sticky boys.
Or like
Fuck
the source of the myth.
Keen to kill some undead shit.
Yeah. Emmy?
Well, they didn't put much of a problem to us before, so I imagine it won't be too difficult. I also imagine we'd be compensated in some way.
Of course. We would have a conversation with Silence to allocate appropriate resources and compensation for such a task.
In that case, I presume we'd be delighted to. Pointed look at Oriana.
She'll just kind of at the whole, you're gonna pay us, right? Like, that's not the most polite way to accept a contract.
She also doesn't even think of him as a king, so why does she care?
That's true.
He's like
after we do
kicked
this,
back, 1 foot up on the table.
After we do this remove curse thing, if he's not the king, well, this whole thing might fall apart. She's not overly invested.
Well, that's certainly exciting. It's good that we might be able to accommodate something like that. You've told me a little bit about yourselves. If you don't mind me asking, simply out of curiosity, is there anything that you want to do or achieve, dreams or goals or desires for the future? I'm always so interested in hearing how adventurers got into the profession, but also what they hope to get out of it, why they do it. Is this just a job?
That is very personal talk for breakfast conversation.
Well, not all people get to choose the lives that they lead.
Well, I cannot speak for the rest of my party, but I simply want to leave a legacy like my father's, I suppose. His life work was towards formulating medicine, growing herbs that can cure ailments. I'm not as proficient as he is in the studious side, so going and offering more physical assistance, I suppose, and immediate healing to areas that need it is really what I seek out, and through it you grow friendships and experiences that are just as fulfilling as monetary payment, I suppose.
Absolutely. If you're looking for places that need healing or assistance, I understand there are small, I hesitate to say settlements, but shanty towns growing up in the outskirts of Goldford that are currently struggling. If you're looking for places that could use assistance, particularly with a healer, and he motions over to Oriana. That
Emmy actually canonically laughs.
Yes,
That
I'm a
wasn't just
healer.
me.
That's what I do. It's not that I just have 3 healing spells and one of them is useful today. I'm a healer. I help people.
Did
None of that
say
comes out of my
something?
mouth. No, it's perhaps a small misunderstanding. Bryn is more the healer. If we're going to
Okay.
pick one from the group.
Well, with a healer, then perhaps you might be able to provide assistance to Goldford. Really is a tragedy what happened there, but we just have to hope that nothing like that happens again. And then if you're not a healer, what do you hope to get out of adventuring? The two of you mentioned that you were trying to get to know each other as half-sisters a little bit better. Is this just a vacation?
Oriana's going to look to Eminence, as in, like, you can field this one. I answered the last question. What the fuck are we doing here?
Well, honestly, it's really been just a bit of fun, hasn't it? I can't imagine enjoying myself quite so much living behind a desk. So why not?
Well, that's certainly fair for the excitement of it. Is there really no dream or aspiration to slay a dragon or overcome great evil or learn a powerful spell? Leave a
I'm
legacy?
quite certain that greatness will come. I
Well,
wouldn't presume to know exactly what it looks like, but
that's fair then. What about the rest of you? I understand this is perhaps a difficult conversation to have, but I'm curious. We don't often get many people of such unique backgrounds here.
do you not have many travelers in Elatair?
We do, we're just not the pot. Usually we're more elven, human, gnomish, halfling. People looking for work or business, not necessarily to change the world, to leave a legacy or to do something else. I must confess, I feel like a child again.
I just want to prove everyone wrong and make them see that I'm amazing.
I can see that. I can see that.
I would like to change my answer to Aery's answer.
Meladri like chuckled at the first answer and then just laughed after you said that. Silence has like a wry smile. Yeah, at this point the door kind of opens up and El Romior comes back in, and you can see he's actually got like 4 different books. And I actually managed to find several of your father's writings. He had this small thesis on Civileaf. Yes?
That is correct, he did.
Then he also had this larger document here on the herbal medicines of Frovelian nature, specifically referring to different methods of curing the more spare herbology of higher altitude, using different resources in order to get the most out of something small. Really very good literature. These other 2 I have not read. This one here seems to be just a small, like a documentation of the places that he has visited. But there's also this one. And the last one doesn't look so much as like a book, but like a journal. And instead of like written and re-calligraphied and republished, it looks significantly more rough. I think this may be perhaps a handwritten account of some of the travels of your father. I gotta be real careful with father in that accent. We might end up in Goldfinger real quick. This journal, perhaps you would like it. Have you seen anything like this before?
Yes, he did keep many journals, but he was very well traveled, so I suppose it's not surprising that one of them has made their way outside of his collection. Yes, if I may see it, that would be wonderful.
Of course. Yeah. And he offers it to you before setting all three of the books next to his muesli, which has kind of gotten like that, like congealed at this point. And he's kind of like, and starts scooping more yogurt and oat in there.
Mix around.
Yeah.
Question.
Yeah, he hands the journal to you. Yes.
Is our old mate, head of waitstaff, Mr. Cassius himself, is he around?
Cassius is currently not present.
The fuck isn't
he is not here.
The king's here.
King's
Sorry.
at breakfast.
We very didn't specifically ask for him to be here, but how dare he not be?
I'm sorry.
How dare he challenge my assumptions? I wanted him here.
Exactly. But are there any kind of like wait staff kind of manning the tables or anything, or
not really? You get the sense that this is sort of like closed meeting.
And probably like
this...
he said it was like kind of informal, so like actually informal.
Yeah, so while there aren't any waitstaff like immediately present, you get the sense that like if somebody hollered or called, there would be waitstaff like just outside the door.
Yeah. I get you.
And you know that like through the door adjacent to the dais, there's the servants' quarters in the kitchen where Fabian is. He is making noise back there. You're not entirely certain what is going on. You have ideas, but there are a lot of noises coming out of that kitchen that would concern other folks. But either way, it's just the group of you at the table.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, get it. Okay, cool.
Yes, get it.
Yeah, I'm just like, keep saying things like that's gonna make me magically think of something to say.
Cool.
I think it's extraordinary that you're able to run this castle with, how does that work? Do you have people who operate different aspects? Like maybe some people will clean your floors, other will sort out your libraries. Do you have your own librarian?
El Romeo is like, well, that's me.
Do you literally ever chill? Like, is he not doing like? How is he doing everything?
He's just like a nervous ball of
pretty
energy.
chill at the dinner party, had a couple of drinks.
Just to say, I'm not saying that in canon. Like, this poor guy. It's like.
I mean, that's a shame, because if you'd said that out loud, which meant Bryn would have said, oh, he had a few drinks at the dinner party, Oriana was just going to kind of look at Silence like, yes, the dinner party we're not allowed to speak of.
Yeah. Yes. El Romeo handles much of the information that comes in and goes out of Valater. He's in charge of several groups of individuals and custodians whose purpose it is to maintain adequate levels of knowledge. Silence has largely acted as much of the logistical support. He did study as a Logos, so his capacity for running complex systems is quite impressive, though sometimes there is a desire for a more compelling conversational partner. And Silence just kind of smiles and looks across the table and actually makes eye contact with you, Emmy, and ever so quietly just says, I make do.
Yeah, Emmy chokes on her coffee.
And the king continues. Naladri acted as one of my tutors growing up and was my primary instructor in swordsmanship and fencing. She is quite impressive with her knowledge, but as far as the actual logical intricacies, a lot of my job is, for lack of a better word, symbolic. The bureaucracy and system of governance that is Valetaire is its own self-sustaining machine. I act with authority, but largely as a figurehead. Which is all very well and good to admit at dinner parties. It always gets a good laugh, but as far as actually doing things, most of my job is listening to people. And what is that noise?
The cat, maybe.
Speaking of, yeah.
Cat's
What
finally
is the
up under the
cat?
bed.
He brought his mouse. Okay, we're gonna leave the door open in case he wants to come in. Okay. Yes, most of my job is listening to people.
I mean, it's an important job. People want to be listened to. Helps them carry out their own work.
Yes.
So then,
have no idea.
What? There must be mountains of dusting and, I don't know, does Silence schedule all of your appointments? Like, is he a...
He handles much of my accommodations from the day to day. However, if you're talking about the quite literal maintenance of, for example, this building, we have roughly 18 individuals on wait staff who work shifts for maintenance to handle the garden, to handle the floors, to handle the dust, to handle clothing, to handle visitors and guests. In addition, we have the barracks directly outside for guards, in which we have an additional about 6 guards currently in station, and another 12 or so dozen throughout the city with their families not currently in active recruitment. We aren't by any means a large kingdom, but we do manage. We can summon a force if necessary.
Of course. Also, you know, you have such a large estate, large area to cover. It's important to make sure that that's well manned. Does someone manage all that? You know, is there a kind of a internal hierarchy?
Of course. Forgive me my confusion. It's a fairly straightforward answer. Yes.
That's understandable. Makes sense. Well,
It sounds like you're very lucky to have a small group of advisors that you seem to trust and hold in quite high regard. It is a privilege for us to be able to meet all of them.
And it is a privilege to meet each of you, who at a glance seem to be quite trustworthy. Ori, Bryn, and Aery, you notice that when Emmy mentioned a small group of advisors that you trust, there was a look. Like El Romeo or Naladri, like it just like went down the line. There was a look. It was small, but there was a look.
What kind of look?
Yeah,
Just
can
like
bring
a-
insight that.
Just like a glance. Oh, passive insight will let you know that there was a look. Yeah, make an active insight check. I think.
11. I don't know where my iPad is, but I think it's
Natural 17.
6.
23 for Bren.
Oh god.
She's good at insight.
Mine's 17.
I don't think I noticed the look, did I?
Not with your passive insight, no.
You're telling me it's low? That's out of character.
I mean, 12 isn't bad. That's good.
You're too busy doing fluttery eyes at silence. You're
He
blinking
was
too quickly.
flirting with Silence was flirting with me, guys.
Emmy's just got like the anime, like the heart shaped like pose at the moment,
Yeah.
and is just like can't see anything else.
The entire background is just blank.
Yeah,
Just
Yeah,
hot
so
eyes.
what were the insight rolls?
23 for Bryn.
17.
13.
17. Okay. So very clearly there was a look. I think Bryn, you would probably be the closest to sort of recognizing that sort of look. It was along the lines of like a what do they know / how much do they know? Like, is this a nice statement that they're making during friendly conversation? Or is this like an underscored something else? And it just kind of like went down the line really, really quickly, and it didn't seem to like come to a conclusion or a resolution or anything. But very clearly, like there was some sort of acknowledgement towards that statement.
So Bryn will just like in passing say,
Yes, I mean, I have traveled through quite a few cities and towns myself, and never have I experienced the people being so happy with, I mean, I guess the government or the royalty running it. It was remarkable, really. Obviously, you're doing a good job. Safe to say, it's not the experience I've had in every city I've traveled through.
It is much appreciated. I must admit, it was my grandfather. Oh, goodness rest him. He was of the opinion that if you give enough to the people, they will give themselves back to you. Not in their lives or sacrifice or their jobs, but in respect and in loyalty. And my father and I have tried to continue that going forward. We know that our crime rate is low, and for that we are very, very happy and prideful, but we also do try to go out of our way here in Valater to accommodate those in rough times. If you lose a job or an income or suffer an illness or a sickness, we will do what we can to help. Rather than cast you out and let you fend on your own, we would like to try to make things better for everyone. And just because I live in a keep and someone else lives in a small house down the street doesn't change the value of our lives and what we can do with them. So because I have this position of power, it is my moral responsibility to help those around me.
I think you consider your responsibility very differently than a lot of monarchs. It is good to see.
I appreciate that. I must admit, it has made for difficult negotiations with other individuals, but lately I've been leaving more and more of that to Silence, and he seems to be handling it just fine. And Silence is just kind of like, But yes, hey, don't bite my power cord. I need that. Oh no, both of the cats are getting involved now.
Show us the kitten.
He's in mega play mode. You are coming with me. Oh no, he's got.
No.
Yeah.
Ever.
Let's see if I can get him to come up onto my lap. He's chewing a power cord. That is okay. Get out of here. Yes. So, cats aside, it seems we've all been well fed. Shall we get to this magic that you have?
Yes, yes. Oriana does have a different kind of restorative magic as to what I tried yesterday, so it may not have any additional help, but of course it's worth trying.
If it might, I think it is worth trying. We've tried a lot of things at this point.
Are we doing this in the dining room?
Would you rather do it somewhere else? The garden is very nice this time of the day.
Perhaps let's go out to the garden. I feel it's not the most appropriate place to be doing magic at the kitchen table.
All right, if you insist. And he kind of stands up and starts making his way over towards the stained glass. And you can see that there is sort of like an archway door that leads out. Silence and Eladri also kind of rise and make their way over with him. El Romeor kind of puts down his bowl and very quickly like takes a big old mouthful of water before heading over after them.
Well, Emmy will head outside with them.
Yeah, Rin will follow.
May I ask if the garden smells of mint?
You may.
The fucking
At
staircase
first-
smelt of mint, so, you know, maybe they
yeah.
grow it.
Yeah, she'll also, if it smells of
It's just
mint,
the
can I
king's favorite
look
scent.
for mint?
Yes. So as the
Just a
king sort of
kitchen.
opens the double doors and the light kind of shines in, you see the garden is beautiful and intricate, just row upon row of these waist-high different flower bushes of all different shapes and sizes. And immediately you are hit by like that almost like warm, humid aroma of flowers in the air, just that sort of overwhelming sweetness. And the king takes a deep breath and sort of steps outside, and you can see the flowers, the hedges have been set out into almost like these layering semicircles with different benches and small trees inset between them. And this is just this like veritable buffet of botany of all of these different plants and flowers. For how well maintained the central keep itself is, the garden makes it look just almost pale in comparison. The sheer magnitude of effort that goes into maintaining and pruning and cleaning all of these different flowers seems like a lot. But there is a hedge that does have some mint growing, and you do get a whiff, but it is not the overwhelming waves of mint that you noticed whenever you were particularly close to the Feywild.
Gotcha.
What are you doing? What do you want? He's in mega play mode. I think it might be better to close my door and let him just go crazy. We'll see. We'll give him one more chance. Yeah, he makes his way outside, and there are a couple of benches set underneath a large like apple tree. And you can see sort of like the small cores of apples slowly growing out. But sits himself down, gets comfortable, looks over at the rest of you. Is there some sort of procedure or necessity? Something I should do or know before you do this?
No, you just need to sit.
All right.
I'm terrified something awful is going to happen, but this doesn't require any components, but it is a touch thing. So Oriana is going to go and just put her hand directly on top of his head and cast Remove Curse.
As you put your hand on his head, you can see that both you, Bryn, and Aery, with your passive perception, your passive perception, Aery, you're actually the only. Yes, with your passive perception, you see that as you put your hand on top of the king's head, Naladri's hand immediately goes towards her side, where you can see there's like a dagger strapped to her hip. And at the same time, Silence also just like, he's not exactly a relaxed guy, but he gets a little bit more tense. Either way, you put your hand on his head, nobody stops you. And you're doing...
Remove Curse. So at a touch, all curses affecting one creature or object end. If the object is a cursed magic item, the curse remains, but the spell breaks its owner's attunement to the object so it can be removed or discarded. Hopefully his head isn't a magical cursed object.
Okay. You cast the components for the spell. There is sort of a brief crackle of energy that sparks down your hand into the king's head, and he kind of like gives a brief jolt, like he's just been zapped by static electricity or something. But you pull your hand away. You can feel in your fingertips still the magic tingling a little bit.
Can I tell if anything happened?
Should looking at him, make a perception check.
Oh God, we love perception checks. Oh, actually, that's good. 21.
21.
I rolled an 18. I only have a +3, but I rolled an 18.
I mean, he looks same as he did a moment ago.
Okay, well, he didn't die. That's good.
Should I feel any different? I guess, I mean, it is seasonal, so...
Yes, I guess it depends on how you were feeling before the spell was cast.
I felt fine. It is...
Do you still feel fine?
Yes.
Well, that's a positive. Really, if it's seasonal, we'll just have to wait until the next seasonal bout. Really no way other than that to tell if it's worked. Unless you know of some kind of trigger that's brought on the symptoms before that we could test.
He kind of looks... and then looks at Silence. Naladri. Naladri makes eye contact with him and just gives like an emphatic nod. And lastly, Elromior, who seems to be trying not to sneeze. He has got like one hand under his nose and is just like... before turning back. And he stands up and looks at the five of you. Can you give me a reason to trust you? And again, Silence looks over and is... you can see a little bit of concern entering his face. Naladri still seems to be relatively relaxed, but she's still intent on the conversation.
Did you not trust us before you allowed us to cast magic on you?
Oh, if you had attempted to cause any harm, I have confidence in my attendants being able to, at the very least, dispatch or buy enough time for the rest of the guards to arrive.
I mean, all we've done so far is our best to help you. So
Yes.
I don't really know if we can give you a reason why you should trust us, but have we not proven ourselves?
Yes, trust is something that is earned, so it's not really something for us to dictate that you should. I mean, we're open books if you have any further questions for us, and if there is anything you wish to see from us. But yes, our intent is just to help.
Plus, you had also offered the future potential of payment, so I really don't see why it would be in our best interest to do you any harm financially.
So
I suppose that's fair. What I am about to tell you needs to remain within this circle of people. By sharing this information, you will be one of, well, with the 5 of you included, I believe that comes out to 10 people.
that's not a lot of people.
It is
We are
not.
excellent at keeping secrets, though.
I where to begin? I am not Arnold Lupo.
We all try our best to look surprised.
Oriana's not.
What?
Oriana Would it surprise you to know that we were already aware of that?
Oh,
Yes, if we're talking about trust.
If we're being honest.
Being honest, we have been to the Forest of Statues, and we have seen a striking resemblance to yourself.
oh. Okay. El Romeo, can you fetch Cassius? And El Romeo is kind of like, yes, I can do that. And seems to be like disappointed to be leaving the tense conversation, but also happy to be going inside out of the garden.
It just makes sense that he has hay fever. Of course he does.
No.
Yeah, he goes inside. That is disappointing. In that case, I'm curious. Who do you think I am? Just I will tell you. I'm just curious.
I mean, I think.
No, there you go.
Oh, well, our theories were like maybe you were the brother who was supposed to have died a long time ago, or perhaps you're a changeling, but honestly, like, you seem like a good person and you're doing well for the city, so it doesn't really concern us that much that you're not who you're supposed to be.
Yeah, we had like conversation or speculation, but none of us really cared. The city is happy. Everything is running well. There's no reason for us to really pry as to who you are.
Well, in that case, I should relieve you of perhaps some of the dilemma that I would hope that you have been going through. Your first theory is correct. I am Bernard. I am the second son of my father.
Why did everyone think that you died?
Because for a brief while I was considered dead, and it just became problematic. Have you ever heard of something called a flitting canis?
What?
Damn it. I was really wanted this name to not sound terrible, so I like said it over and over, and I was like, it's totally fine. It's totally fine. It's 100% fine. Flitting, Flitting, like flickering.
Yeah, that is. That's fine.
I didn't even think it sounded weird until Jimmy.
It sounds like
Damn
it
it.
should be like either a horrible
like,
curse
there
word
is a
or something
10%
unimprobable
chance
that you don't want
that
to
I
know where
say
it
this
is.
and people just
I'm
start laughing.
It's
God
on
damn
me.
it.
It's on me. I infected Jimmy with the knowledge I'm always referring to. It's you know what? Don't worry
It's a
about
different
it.
thing,
It's
okay.
fine. It's an inside joke.
This creature is a lycanthropic mix between a human and a blink dog. Imagine a werewolf of Fey origin with the properties of a blink dog.
That
That's
sounds
pretty cool.
terrifying. Cool. Yeah,
Makes
it
a lot
sounds
of
very
sense
cool.
also.
When I was a young child, I was bitten and inflicted by these creatures.
You are a
And-
werewolf?
Not in the classical sense. The moon that affects me is not the one on the prime material plane. It is the one in the Feywild. Either way, when I lose myself, it is exceptionally difficult to keep me restrained, for lack of a better term. I killed my mother when I first returned.
Oh.
6 months after I had left. And then several years later, I killed my father. And most recently, my brother.
Oh.
I mean, twice is an accident, but
when I feel it coming on, it is usually the most appropriate to simply go into the deep wood and come out when I change back. But we have tried many things.
do you feel a particular compulsion to kill your family in this state, or is it just that they happen to be the closest to you?
No, my mother thought that love and affection could cause me to transform back. My father was the first to consider not necessarily deterrals to escaping, detriments. And my brother, frankly, was an accident. I was not. It doesn't matter. Naladri is one of the few people who can contain me when I get like this. But even she is not without her own scars. At which point she kind of slowly raises her arm, and you can see that there's the trembling in her hand.
That's pretty rough.
I was thought dead, and when I came back, I wasn't fully myself. My father decided not to inform others of the fact that I was alive and returned, and kept up the charade that I had died. And I was simply kept separate until my condition could be cured. But that never happened, and it became a cruel twist of fate that my brother, well, that I have ended up replacing him.
Would Bryn have? I don't know if she would, but would she? So either like paladin like stuff or just like kind of medicine. Would she know any like affiliated god with like werewolves or anything like that?
Yeah, so I would say make a religion check.
Oh, she's not
For
so hard on
me.
this, but Nat 20, but it's -1, so 19.
Yeah.
Because I know as a player, but I don't know if Bryn would know.
Yeah. So what are you thinking? I think I've pulled up the
Saloon
wrong.
has affiliated good lycanthropes.
Yeah, here we go.
So I don't know if Bryn would know that.
Yeah. What is the extent of your question in whether or not
Would
there
she
are...
have awareness of benevolent or at least like werewolves that have the ability to act under good rather than like vicious nature kind of thing?
Yes. Yeah. So I would say with that, with like a 20 or a 19, something that perhaps you or probably your father after you were born investigated is to what degree is an individual bound or compelled to act in a certain way based on their birth or the conditions involved into making them who they are. And a lot of that can be interpretations of investigating half-orcs and half-elves and tieflings and drow and how their upbringing, and also dragonborn specifically in your case as well, to what extent did their linealogy affect who they become? And one of those focuses was lycanthropy. You know that generally lycanthropes try to avoid people. There are different kinds. You know that most lycanthropes usually like to live as nomads or in small tribes or communities filled with alike and similar lycanthropes. They, while in their natural form, are usually kind and polite and normal. Some of them have the capacity to willfully trigger either a full transformation or a half transformation into like a werewolf or like a full wolf. And they aren't even limited to wolves. There are were-rats, there are were-bears, there are were-tigers. And then across those spectrums as well, there are some that cannot control the transformation at all. When sometimes it's the full moon, sometimes it's the new moon. Whatever their trigger is, when it hits, they just change and lose all control. And then there are others where they can control and fight the transformation and contain it. From what he's describing to you, you get the sense that this isn't something that he has any control over. Especially with the fact that he's not reacting to the moon on the prime material plane. Because he was bitten by like a fey lycanthrope, it seems to be almost like a different variant.
Okay. And does she, with that role, does she know that Saloon typically would reside over like benevolent lycanthropes? Because that was also kind of part of the question.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds fair.
Well, I mean, the fey nature, it's not something that I've heard of specifically with werewolves to have those particular qualities. However, there are certainly tribes and affiliations of different rare creatures, not just werewolves, but other beasts that do gain control over the transformations and even outside of the triggering cycle are able to harness those capabilities, perhaps seeking out a cleric of Saloon who is known to have werewolves that follow her that are of a benevolent nature, maybe a route that you can go down.
We have done investigation into finding others like me, and even with the resources of Valetaire, it is exceptionally difficult. Typically, those who are inflicted with my condition tend to dissociate from the society that brought them in. But specifically, my variant of being bitten, and I've realized why the name is funny. It's because Canis. Drop the C, ladies and gentlemen.
I honestly thought of Skyrim as soon as you said it, so I didn't have that immediate jump.
Yeah.
So you good.
But now, like, I can't not see it now that I've seen it. Now that I knew there was something in my head when I was like going through different names for these things. Like, there's something about this. I like it, but I can't get it out of my head. I think you're muted, Jimmy.
The reason is that Eliza and her partner refer to their cat's butt as a canis.
We're like, oh, they're getting the canis all over it.
Yeah, so that's
That's
the
why
only reason I thought of it. Like, it's regularly it would be fine, but I just immediately thought of
Specifically
like
a word
cat
that
anus.
we already had in our vocabularies for a different
Yeah.
reason.
I'm gonna rename it right now. It's a blinkenthrope. That's what it
Blinkenthrope?
is.
Oh, I like that.
That's cool.
Sounds sick.
That's
Like
very
that a
cool.
lot.
Yeah. Just
I'm
because
sorry
we have
for ruining your word.
The other was a
powers.
scientific name. This is like the colloquial name.
Yeah.
You know.
I have
Yeah,
like
its
5 or
Latin
6
name
different
is
names, and
Blinkencanis.
that was the one that I chose. Yeah. Specifically because these creatures are fey and can teleport regularly, they are incredibly difficult to track down. As far as I know, the only other one that we've come into contact with is the one that bit me when I was a child, and
Right.
we have not seen it since. Investigating Saloon is a good idea. Perhaps she may be able to provide guidance. That's something I'll bring up with El Romeo. Speak of the devil, and coming out from the sort of dining area is El Romeo, and with him you can see Cassius as well, with sort of like his very finely cut suit. He's got like a bandit collar on that's kind of open one button, and makes his way out to the rest of the party. Cassius, I appreciate everything you have done for me and for our family. Did you bury my brother with Satine? And you can see Cassius. He's like a stoic guy, but the color just immediately drains from his face and looks over. Yes, sir. I see. I understand it must have been difficult for you. However, your preserving my brother's body has led to individuals uncovering my and now our secret. And Cassius sort of glances at the rest of you. Yes, sir. You are dismissed for the day, Cassius. And Cassius finally. Yes. And gives like a stiff bow before turning and walking out. And El Romeor. Well, that was tense. Did I miss anything? The king looks over. I have explained our situation to our guests. They now know everything. And El Romeor looks over. Everything? Including the Blinkentrop? Boy, that's tough with a German accent. Everything. And Nalandri even waves with her lame arm. But, oh my god, I was not so fun. Oh, that feels very good. And you can see Nalandri kind of chuckles a little bit and goes over to Silence and kind of like nods a little bit, and Silence rolls his eyes before reaching into his pouch and pulling out 2 gold coins and handing them to Nalandri, who very cheerily pockets them. And Bernard looks over and, did you two have a bet on who would... And Nalandri just kind of nods. Yep. What were the odds? And Nalandri, it was 2-1 on El Romeo we settled on. I actually had 5-1 on Cassius. I thought he was going to be untraceable, but such is life. And Silence again, pulls out another 2 coins and heads over to El Romeor and offers them out. And El Romeor just, oh, yeah, and takes them, relieved.
What was Silence's odds?
Silence had odds on El Romeor being the one. But everyone else had odds on Cassius. Well, I suppose you have questions.
I have more of a DM question than a question for one of the NPCs.
Yep.
Is this a curse? Would casting Remove Curse have actually fixed this, or is he still Fairy Werewolf?
As far as you know, generally yes.
But surely they would have tried that before.
D&D's weird.
Do you want to ask?
I do. I'm trying to think of a way to phrase that that's not going to be incredibly rude, but still also like brusque enough to be Oriana.
Is
Not like,
Oriana
hey,
care she's rude?
a little bit. I try and not make her the rudest person ever, but still a bit of a bitch. And I don't want to be like, I'm assuming you fucking idiots have tried to remove curse before. Like, what's a good way of asking this?
Asking what magics have you been used prior?
Yeah. Presumably. You've had this condition for a while. You've tried multiple ways to get rid of it. Have you attempted remove curse before? Or have I just wasted a spell slot for the day?
No, we have attempted to remove curse. We've tried a lesser restoration and even a greater restoration at significant cost. none of them have seemed to have any effect. Still, though, it can be helpful to try the same thing, perhaps inspired from different gods or followings. So I do appreciate you willing to go above and beyond to attempt to remove this affliction through whatever
Is
means are available.
is this something that you perhaps it needs to be administered during a transformation? Perhaps it is dormant and it needs to be triggered for it to be removed. I
That
know that is difficult, but
we have tried that with my father when I was younger.
right.
That was how he came up with the idea of deterrence. And he had my best interests at heart. That's all I can say.
Mm.
Yes.
At this point, unfortunately, there's not anything within our capabilities that we can provide that you have not already tried. However, as we are travelers, we are adventurers, we can certainly keep our ear to the ground without prying necessarily for any rumors or any speculation that we hear outside of Valater. Different regions may have different knowledge that is not easily at your disposal from here.
Yes. Something that we may be able to do is, if you do have the time or the capacity, perhaps trying to find another lycanthrope, another either a person like me who has been inflicted similarly, or perhaps even the parent creature. I would be more than willing to compensate to a significant degree for something like this. If you bring me
Yes,
someone or something.
You said you had seen before the one that turned you. You've seen it since.
No, it turned me when I was a child and went into the deep wood, and no sign since.
Have there been rumors? I mean, I imagine a creature like that living in a forest, there would be some, legend amongst people I've heard.
Certainly. Part of what makes this so difficult is because this is a creature that, as we've already said, can teleport quickly and efficiently and is of fey nature. Certainly there exist stories of wolves coming and going in the night, but this is something beyond that. I and my brother and my father have gone out of our way to try to find more information from here within Valater, but we have not been able to come to a solution. But you five can leave. You five can go places and follow things. If you could, we would be willing to compensate you significantly. Find this creature, follow it, or find someone like me who knows how to handle this affliction.
Is that why you asked us to go to the Mistlands?
No, that is a genuine concern. If you choose not to take that contract, we will be sending guards.
I mean, surely it's not a
That
bad
is
idea to
also
do that anyway.
important. That is also important.
Yes, well, I would think that your affliction would be of equal, if not greater importance as the one that is overseeing the running of this region.
Well, when I do turn, I simply step away for a few days. Generally, as long as I am far enough in the deep wood, I haven't caused too much trouble. However, undead
Killing your
attacking
entire
merchants and, well, listen, yes. But undead on one of our main traveled roads to the rest of civilization in the local area is also very important. I don't want to underscore the value of one thing as opposed to another. Again, it's entirely your choice. As has been made clear to me by El Romeo, I believe the 5 of you are already under employ. So I would hate to challenge your current contracts.
I do not see that this would necessarily be a conflict of interest.
We're more like freelance, you know?
Yeah, I don't remember there being an exclusivity clause.
No.
Just out of character. It wasn't our contract to find out what happened to the king. So
Also, technically we were told it was just because of our, like, individuality. Like, we just do it our way, and this can just be our
even
way, you know?
the original contract was mainly verifying the statue. It wasn't investigating further, finding out who he was. It was, is there a statue of the king in the garden? And it's like, yeah. And then we've technically fulfilled what we needed to do. We don't have to now go into details if we don't want to about and we found out the king is actually Bernard and he's like a Blinkenthrope and this and that. It's just yeah, the statue's there. Low-key, high-key, exactly like the king. Give us money.
yeah. Yeah, see, I'm thinking right back to our employers and say, hey, we figured it out. Here's all of the information. Give us money. And then when our employers tell us how to fix the king, we go back to the king. We're like, hey, we figured it out. Give us money.
But they don't necessarily, if this is a rare creature, they haven't necessarily heard of a Blinkenthrope and would have experience with it.
They might have.
They might.
They might have.
They might have, but they might not have.
Worth a shot.
What secrets are we willing to spill is the next question.
That's a very good question. Are we going to have a tiny little break while we're having this chat? Because there is something that I need to talk to the party about. Because I have a brain that is constantly doing everything, and I desperately need to talk about it. Do we have a moment to process, or
right now everyone's hanging out in the garden,
Yeah.
having a congratulations, you're part of the inner circle moment.
is there any chance that I can kind of look to them and just be like, you know, in honor of this new offer, I think it would be wise for us to discuss for a brief moment, maybe to give you a better option now, to give you a I'm not obviously saying this in character because my brain's not putting words together, to give you an answer now so that we can proceed as quickly as possible.
Yeah, you, for the sake of brevity, that's what you say in effect in Natalie voice. Yeah, the king looks sort of a bit taken aback, but of course I can only imagine this. Though you've had your suspicions, this is probably still a lot.
It is also that I respect your time and I respect your effort. I would hate for us to not leave here having already made a decision. This isn't the kind of thing that we'd like to mull over for a couple of days. I would like to get you an answer.
Of course.
Very soon.
Consider yourselves free to discuss as you need. Shall we head inside? And he looks around, and the rest of his attendants kind of nod each in turn. Silence is a little tense about it. You seem to get the sense that he wasn't exactly thrilled with the idea of sharing this information with the rest of you. Whereas Naladri is fully just totally at ease with the whole thing. There's a ghost in your house.
There really is, actually, but It's not
Just
even a joke.
knocking over stuff.
But
Uh-oh. Yeah, they make their way inside and leave the 5 of you to the garden, to yourselves.
Natalie will look absolutely terrified, look to the entire group, wait till they've gone inside, say it still in a quiet voice just in case anyone's listening. Are we going to tell them about Shazarash, who can read our thoughts, and now we know something very, very important that could possibly put the entire town in jeopardy?
Natalie first. And Bryn's going to cast Detect Magic.
Okay.
And just look around and see if there's any magical forces like in the garden.
Absolutely. So in the garden itself, there isn't anything like loudly magical, for lack of a better word. You get the sense, like walking around, that the walls around the garden that lead outside to the city, they sort of rise up with this very, very large battlements above to the rest of the central keep. There are abjurative traps around the base of the walls. However, they seem to be positioned in such a way not so much as to prevent people from getting out, but to detect people coming in. But as far as everything else, it seems to just be the 5 of you and the garden.
Okay, now back to what just in case. What were you saying? Oh, freaking! Oh, yeah, we should probably tell them.
I think we absolutely should say something,
Yeah, I
because
think we should tell them. I mean, Aery Loki kind of wanted to kill him anyway, so I mean, maybe they can just do that for him, so that you don't need to bloody your own hands. Because I mean,
feel...
you warned him not to use your face again, and he did like sweat of it. That's like a huge betrayal of trust.
Also,
and Oriana has his like thing.
I don't see how we have any loyalty to Shazarash.
Before it only impacted us. Now
he's in custody now, isn't he? Already,
No.
they have him.
No, but he'll come back because Oriana has his stupid thing that is apparently important to him.
Oh, we let him go?
We
I
did let
don't
him
even
go.
remember that. It's been so long.
But also, if he's running around with Aery's face, and Aery is now included in an inner circle, I think it's a very important thing to mention.
Yes, we should definitely tell them about him. Absolutely. That is a good point.
And I mean, we're not really supposed to talk about our employers, but I don't think we need to tell our employers about this anyway. It wasn't our duty to find out who the current king actually is, so we just keep that one under wraps.
I think that's fair, especially until we can maybe help. I think just not disclosing the way that we haven't even heard back from them.
No, I mean, I don't know how far away he is. How fast can a bird make a paper fly in a day? I don't know how long
it's sleep or eat. Shouldn't be that long.
But it's like paper. What if it's like a really strong breeze blew it off course?
If they gave us a paper
I was worried that it might get caught in a storm. What if
like a bigger bird thought the little bird was tasty and ripped it out of the sky? We don't know.
Maybe we should send them another letter just in case.
But then if they gave us magical paper that's going to be destroyed in a storm, it seems like a really stupid way of a messaging system.
That's a pretty bad way of communication.
Yeah, I don't know how it works, so...
There's always a bigger bird.
There's always a bigger bird. But regardless, we could give it a little more time, just in case. I don't know how quickly the message gets from A to B. Because it's getting there and then the message getting back. Maybe it took a couple of days to get there and the response is on the way back and we just need to wait.
Yeah, I'm just saying, it's not important for us to give them another update until we've heard back.
Agreed.
In terms of what we plan to do next, we obviously have 2 options. And I wasn't lying or deceiving in any way when I said that I think it's good of us to give them an answer of what we'd like to do. I personally feel that we should maybe go with the Mistland option. It's an opportunity for us to do something to prove our abilities. We don't know a lot about chasing down this creature. We can try and find out more information. If weird things have been happening here, it would be a good place to kind of maybe see if we stumble across anything else before we take on this hunt of sorts.
I don't disagree. We can always check how long it is between bouts of seasonal illness for him. We don't know what kind of timing we're working with for between the next change. So I guess we should probably establish that.
Yeah, I would say you could make a
History, would it be? If like it's recalling like
I would
past
say
experiences?
history or religion or survival even, but the survival one would be a little bit more difficult.
I think given what you were saying about like her dad looking into lycanthropes, history makes sense to me. Like if he
Okay.
talked to her about transformation
Yeah.
periods and things like that. Even though survival, she has way more. 15 plus 17.
17. Yeah, so with the 17, based off of what he was telling you, he said that his lycanthropy was tied to the cycle of the moon in the Feywild. You know that time is real weird in the Feywild. Some people go into the Feywild, stay there for weeks, and then come out, and only a minute has passed in the prime material plane. Some people go into the Feywild, eat a single fruit or hang out for 10 minutes, and then come out, and it's been 5 years later. So there is no concrete way to tie a time frame to the progression of the moon cycle in the Feywild, which you expect probably makes it really, really difficult to be a king who has to handle this. Because that can mean like one cycle of transformation could last for half a day, but then in that same bout, another cycle of transformation could last for a month. So yeah, as far as predictability, it's going to be real difficult.
But we do know that he just had one, right? So
yes,
theoretically, we have a little bit of time.
I mean, that little bit of time could be a couple of days. It could be 3 months.
He's also lived with this since he was a child. I don't see why it's particularly urgent that we fix it.
I mean, if you have like a thorn in your side, you don't just go, nah, I've had it there for like 10 minutes already. I guess I'll just leave it. You try and pull it out. You want to be suffering longer than you need to be.
Also, it's something that's made him like hurt and kill a lot of people very close to him. He's probably worried that he'll kill someone else.
Well, he's run out of family members, so that's kind
but
of
now we are his inner circle. What if he kills us next? We should probably fix it.
But maybe we aren't strong enough to deal with something like that yet.
He's like a magic dog. It's fine.
I mean, that is adjacent to true, I guess. But I was actually thinking along the lines of combating the strength of a creature like that. Now that we're showing that we're trusted people, would the rock be something that we should get to El Romeo to research? It affects constitution and affects strength. The only thing is it does seem to also affect the mind in a certain capacity, but potentially that could be a route of research that could help either nullify the physical strength or use to subdue during a transformation.
But we already
love the idea of an insane werewolf. I love that idea.
Insane
just
werewolf
adding an extra
king.
level.
Yes, perhaps we should keep the rock very far away from the werewolf king.
It's like an insane secret werewolf king. There's so much going on.
But maybe now that
secret werewolf murderer king.
Don't forget the Fae Blink Dog aspect.
Now that they are aware that there is the king's statue in Satine's cemetery, they will probably go there anyway. It might be best for us to tell them anyhow. Because then at least, and if we can get some word to her just to fill her in that they know and such,
Yes. And also, we just kind of said that this lady would have visiting rights and research rights, not that no one else could research or study it.
It's still not a good idea, I think, to have it in the middle of the city. So it's
Oh, I
still a
didn't
good
say
place
bring
for
it
it.
to the middle of the city, but to allow Romeo, if he wished to research it, because if he could harness the draining of constitution, it could be useful in some regard. I mean, it also probably should either be studied or destroyed.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, didn't we say that we would send it already to the weave?
Yes, we just haven't heard back.
Yes, they haven't responded
If
to
we
us.
give
so-
it to someone else and then we're like, oh, sorry,
But we
not
asked if they
anymore.
wanted it. We didn't say that they had dibs.
Yes, but we asked them first.
Yeah, but there's no reason that we can't just tell them that it's there and say that it is kind of. They're going to. There is a possibility that they will see it there. And if they see it there without us telling them, they may see that as a form of us withholding information.
Yes.
I mean, we could just say that we have it awaiting collection to a trusted person who will be researching it. I mean, potentially they would have nothing to do with it anyway, seeing as that is what poisons the forest.
But that is what we
this
already
rock
said.
is such a headache. I hope we can just get rid of it soon.
Well, we don't need to tell them if we don't want to, but
I think we should probably tell them it's there and what it is.
If nothing else, it establishes trust between us.
So, point of order. Hey, Shazazrak, is this person? Probably like just kill him. He's gonna
He
come looking
cannot be
for us.
trusted.
Cannot be trusted. Can read minds. So unless you know him and he's useful and on the payroll or something, just get rid of it. Hey, we have this rock that's here. It's going to be collected by other people, but I mean, if you wanted to look at it while you were, if like El Romeo wanted to just look at it before it gets collected, and go to Mistlands first, and then back into the deep woods after. It's probably not a bad idea to let the forest recover a little bit further. I mean, if we're needing to, I don't know if we're going to need to go into the Feywilds, but we kind of, I think that's where we went when we went inside of the tree. Maybe we didn't, but it did smell like mint in there, so maybe we did. But that's like a possible route that we can explore. But like let it have a bit of R&R. It had like a skyrock that was sapping the life from it and its entire like population of trees. So it probably needs a little bit of R&R.
Well, that sounds like a plan for the time being. And then if we need to reevaluate our allyship with the king, we can do so when we need to.
we are jumping into this alliance with full feet in, though, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. They obviously good people with the way that the city's run. Maybe we should mention that people kind of suspected that the leadership is werewolves, because that was like brought up, wasn't it?
Well, they said wolf people, but they also said lizard people, so I don't know, it
I
just
mean-
didn't really seem like much.
See, people seem happy. I don't see why we shouldn't help.
Yeah, they seem to really care about the subjects, which, like I said, is more than you can say for some kings.
Just
Like to think that Eminence and Ori share a look at that.
Absolutely.
it just does seem a little strange that I don't know. Something just feels weird. But also, I'm a very
Everything about
suspicious
this feels
person,
weird.
so
Oh, I don't entirely trust him either, but I don't see the harm in, at the moment, establishing trust between us.
then we're open books.
To an extent.
About our work.
Yes.
Don't worry, no one's going to out you or anything.
Ouch,
Yes.
means what?
It's fine. We can be open books. You can just be like a pamphlet or something.
But like one of those
Eminence has
pamphlets that has
one
like a
page.
secret fold
Yeah.
out in the
To
middle.
the flyer.
Eminence is just a postcard that says "fuck you" on the back.
Yeah.
An amazing metaphor.
But yes, I think
Okay.
that's a great resolution.
So do we say hey, you want to come back out here, or do we just go inside? Do you think at this point?
I think
I feel like we go inside.
I think we go inside.
the
yeah,
sneezing.
probably.
I know we recently had breakfast, but could I tell how close it is to lunchtime?
It's been 6 hours. Emmy misses
Yeah.
her date.
It's probably still like another hour and a half until like an early lunch you would expect. Though there has been a lot of conversation, and it's still mid-morning. You also get the sense that you've got time.
Wonderful.
Well, I mean, let's go in. It's not like we have anywhere that we need to be, so let's go and continue our conversation.
Yes.
So you going back inside?
Yeah, we will just confidently stride back inside.
We go.
You go back inside into the dining hall. You can see that the four of them are sort of standing around talking to each other. And as you enter, Naladri actually notices first, and she kind of like perks up a little bit and sees the rest of you and gives a warm smile, and everyone turns over.
I love her.
And everything working out all right?
Oh, perfect. Yes, no, we just wanted to discuss kind of a course of action, the order in which that we should approach this. We did think that going to the Mistlands first might be a good call. In case we are needing to go into the Feywild itself. We did gain access when we went into the heart of the forest.
Do you think the Mistland has ties to the Feywild? It's fairly far north from the Deepwood.
No, but when we were investigating why there were trees in Valetair, we did gain access in the heart of the forest through, there was like a guardian tree. However, it was recovering now from having the source of poison removed from it. So just allowing it time to, get back up to full functionality. I'm not sure how the social hierarchy of trees works, but we seem to have earned some kind of favor with the heart of the forest.
I understand that's good. I'm not sure how I understand what that has to do with the Mistlands to the north.
Oh, well, we can deal with that first while we're allowing time for the forest to regain full functionality from having the poison removed. We'll do both. The Mistlands and then investigate the Blinkenthropes in the heart of the forest.
I see. Okay. I apologize. That wasn't entirely clear. But that makes sense. Sure. Perfect. Would you need any supplies? I'm sure we can provision you.
I mean, that
yeah.
would be nice. Yeah.
Healing potions.
We did also have another integral piece of information about an individual that you have residing within your beautiful city.
Mm.
Yes, El Romeor has made it clear that this visionist harassed you on your way to breakfast, and is the reason that you are late.
Oh, you know about him?
Yes, so there were the two visionists, but there was another individual which was the reason why these visionists came and were harassing us in the first place.
Oh, yeah, they were chasing
Oh.
him, and they kind of we got messed up with it because we stopped him because he is a changeling and he was looking like me. And we have already seen him before, and we told him not to wear my face anymore, and he did it anyway. And so we stopped him to be like, why are you doing this? And he was just like, oh, I just did it because I wanted to, because he's, he doesn't care. But the problem with him is that he can read information in people's minds without them saying it. So he could know things that you don't want anyone to know.
Huh.
We as a group have
Well,
discussed this, and we think the best course of action is just to execute him.
Yes, I think he should die. For
He does
multiple reasons.
seem to be using his particular skill set for more nefarious things, extracting information without people's consent and then selling it for a profit.
But
I
now,
think
of course,
that is concerning, and I thank you for sharing that with me. And while he may have caused you great inconvenience, you'll forgive my reticence in hoping to execute him.
well, the reasoning behind that is because he has already been trying to get information out of us and has done that before. So we are on his radar, and now we know about you. And so he's a changeling, so we won't always know if he is nearby. If he lurks around us and one of us happens to think about the fact that you are, what you are, he will know. And then he will sell that, and then other people will know. It's impossible to keep that information away from him now because he may come to us without us knowing.
Is it then at all possible for you to, whenever you think of the fact that I am what I am, that you would know that I would go to great lengths to hide this information and punish those who know it, specifically anyone who would be reading that thought from your mind?
I mean, I guess, but
It's
sometimes
quite
you just
simple.
passively think about things.
Absolutely. And when you do think about it, if he is adjacent, he will also get the fact that there will be retaliation.
Yeah, I think you need to understand that this guy does not give a fuck. He already impersonated me, and I said, if you do this again, I'm going to blow off your head. And he did it anyway, literally the next day. He doesn't care about consequences. He'll do whatever he wants.
We'll begin an investigation to see if we can find this individual.
Okay, well, his name is Shazarak, then he's a piece of shit, so good luck with him.
I mean, it is a potential that you would be able to utilize his particular skill set if you did not want to execute, perhaps acquiring him to put on your own payroll in your own investigations, having someone that was able to be incognito and also read surface
having someone
thoughts.
to replace me while I'm away
That
may also be beneficial, especially if they never spoke. And looks over, and you could see Silence is listening to this whole thing and unmoving expression, but still just going through the whole range of emotions of processing all of this. El Romeor is full on focus mode, if we do this and Naladri is just enjoying the conversation. Yeah. Naladri kind of leans over. I could keep an eye on him.
Can Bryn insight check Silence when they're talking about just straight up killing this dude?
Yeah, absolutely. What are you trying to find out?
All she sees is enjoyment.
I'm trying to see if he's just oh, that might be a bit extreme killing, or yeah, maybe we should just eliminate the threat. Can't be harmful to the to the state if they're dead, kind of thing. His read on, yeah, we should just kill this guy. 19. My dice is upside down and I cannot. Insight. 25.
25, yeah. Yeah, you've spent a pretty good amount of time with Silence, and again, he is tough to read, but observing him more closely now that you've spent time and seen sort of the larger range of his emotions. Some of his reticence was more on the logistical difficulty of trying to find a changeling that can read minds, B, convict a changeling empirically, C, employ a changeling, and D, use a changeling to replace the king while he's away without fucking up the state. It was small thing, bigger thing, much bigger thing, what the fuck? And he's like going through that whole logistical process and is more perturbed by the difficulty of the situation than the ethical implications.
Okay. Oh, Romeo, I don't know if yourself or someone that you trust has the ability to find people, to use scrying magic or the like.
We may be able to hire someone in order to fulfill this. Do you have anything from the individual? Perhaps an article of clothing or some hair?
We have something very personal to this person.
And also, we're supposed to be meeting him tonight.
Well, then that sounds easy. And why don't you do that? And then...
But what if we think about this thing?
I mean, if we capture him, it doesn't matter, yeah?
This is true.
And he is pretty easy to capture. We've done it twice.
In 2 days, no less.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he thinks that he is very smart, but I mean...
The only issue
He's kind of smart, but he's so annoying that it just completely outweighs it.
I think their confidence very much is their undoing, where they think that it's going to be easy, and then, you know what, like, multiple people in our body can teleport, so maybe not so easy.
But also, you just need to understand how annoying this guy is before you meet him. Like,
but
you need to know.
We think about the fact that we're going to see him and capture him, and then he reads our thoughts.
We can prevent that by the second we see him catching him.
I hate
rather
mind
than
readers.
sitting down and having a 20-minute conversation
This
trying
implies
not
we
to
know
think
who
about the
he
plan.
is. He can change his face.
Yeah, he can look like anyone.
I hate this man. I just want him dead.
This man has sorted microbes.
He ate my chocolate when I specifically asked him not.
I will see if we can come up. Silence and I can work together this afternoon to see if we can come up with some sort of plan in order to accommodate his capture. And perhaps it may be helpful if the rest of you are present for working through the details of all of this. It's not an immediate problem quite yet. Again, it's up to Bernard what we do. And Bernard, while he may have been the cause of significant trouble, I would like to bring him in. Yes, it sounds like he is trouble and difficult, but the potential upsides could be, for lack of a better word, a godsend. If we could have someone to act with my face and on my will, with the support of the council within an expected range of behaviors while I'm away, that solves a very, very large number of problems. But in that same vein, if he decides to give a large amount of money to his personal friends and then leave, that would not be good.
Yes, you would be putting an incredible amount of power in the hands of a man who honestly seems rather unstable.
Maybe, El Romeo, you still have that silence spell, correct? And you can see silence looks like, for the briefest moment, just like a little annoyed. Yeah, I still have it. Perhaps we can confine him to a chair or the throne and simply maintain silence on him. Not you, but the spell. Can't do any harm if he can't speak. At least until we assess his trustworthiness. Yeah, that could be an idea as well. Perhaps something to start with. I survey, we still need to capture him first.
And you do
That-
have the option of when you meet him, when you realize that we are correct and he's a huge piece of shit, you can always just execute him then.
Is that again up to Bernard? We'll deal with that when we deal with that. I think that is a good idea. Wow, this has been an exciting day.
Natalie's just head in her hands, like just thinking about all of the possibilities. Like,
But if I think about not thinking about it, is that still thinking about it?
it's just crying. Like,
Well, unless there is anything specifically you wanted of us right now, I suppose we can prepare for our meeting tonight, or prepare for setting out.
Yes.
to
Feel
move.
free to make yourselves comfortable in the study if you would like to stay here while El Romeo and Silence work out some sort of plan. I will be taking some visitors from Valetaire today, so I will not be available for the course of the day. However, should you need me, you can send for me. And if you would like to return towards your current residence, that would also be an option. But as of now, you are welcome to stay here if you would like.
Yeah, yes, I did have.
actually have something I want to try and do today,
Of course.
if that's all right.
Yes.
The rest of you are welcome to do what you want, I guess.
Yes, well, I thought that this is something that I can discuss directly with El Romeo, or I don't need to take up more of your time if you have appointments. But there's probably a little bit more elaboration that we can go into regarding the rock that we extracted from the heart of the forest that may be of interest to El Romeo.
Of course, we can do this. Is there something more that I should know?
I mean, in terms of the effects and what we're talking about, but it has not been removed as of yet. So if you wanted a chance to see it, that was done. Like we said, destruction or removal from the area was our primary concern, as the effects of it were very powerful, and the effects of it to the tree was what caused all the other trees to move into Valetaire.
I see. So you think that this stone specifically was the catalyst for everything else, not necessarily by a matter of coincidence, but by perhaps whatever purpose the rock has, in that it did the damage to the wood.
Yes, it did seem to it was settled at the base of the guardian tree, and it had the ability to go between planes of existence, it seemed, and it was here on the prime material, but its effects were reaching into the Feywiles, which were where we went to dispose of its core. And although that poison was extracted, the effects of the rock seem to be the same. It will weaken constitution, it will alter the mind, it will increase its effects over time.
Things around it.
Yes, we're not sure the exact proximity, but I mean, if you're visiting, touching it will immediately drain physicality and make you feel more frail, and will have an impact on the mind over a prolonged period of time, it seems.
As you're talking about this, you can see Silence is making a concerned expression. And after a moment, he, in typical Silence fashion, doesn't say anything. He just walks out of the room.
I guess. But yes, anyway, it is.
Yeah, he does that sometimes.
Yeah,
He, I don't know. I'm not going to. Please continue.
Satine was currently concealing it for us, so that we could arrange for a collection and potential destruction, with, again, figuring out where is the best location for it so that it does not impact people. But as someone of arcane research, you're more than welcome to look at it if there are people that were going to be going towards the Forest of Statues as it was.
Yeah, you've mentioned that it is out there. I have not had a chance to go out. And all of this happening tonight with the changeling, I do not think I will be able to take a look at it today, but perhaps tomorrow.
Yes.
I would very much hope to take a look at it. Perhaps it could be harnessed or used in some way. I'm not sure. At this point, Silence walks back into the room, and you can see he has like a small sheaf of papers. And as he approaches, he simply goes over to El Romior and just kind of says, "Read this," and kind of puts it into his hands. And El Romior kind of looks a bit confused for a moment. Yeah, are you sure? And Silence just kind of nods, and the king has been kind of standing there. And at first, he was like bemused by by Silence doing Silence things, but now he's starting to look a little concerned. And Silence kind of pulls the papers out of his hands. Your Majesty, I received this 2 days ago, and hands the letters over to the king, who takes it and kind of skims through and then flips over to the next page. This is... Do you think it could be the same? And Silence just kind of nods. And he folds the letter. And Silence turns to the rest of you. On behalf of the king, we received a request from the Council of Ulsan offering to purchase any sickness stones we might have found. Among other things, but it caught my attention.
Have you heard of this kind of thing before? Is a sickness stone common in these parts?
He looks over to El Romior. No. To both questions.
These visionists are also from there, right?
El Romior. Yeah, the visionists are one of the 6 of the Hex Council.
Does the letter imply they already have some of these sickness stones?
It is unclear from looking at it. They know that there are stones that cause sickness. It's written in such a way to imply that people who know what it is know what it is, and people who do not will see it as perhaps a curio or something strange to be kept an eye open for. This stone, how big was it? You said it was full size?
Yes. The rock that we recovered from this side was, I believe it was Oriana who destroyed the core that was on the other side, which was much smaller in nature, but the veins that spread from it were encompassing most of the tree.
Interesting. The king. Well, if this stone is able to affect this sort of impact in the deep wood, I'm curious to know what Ulson would do with it. You have mentioned these visionists. Visionists are not the only individuals of import in Ulson. They are one of 6, alongside alchemists, miners, stone shapers, the tradesmen, and transmuters. So that this would be mentioned to you is strange. And El Romeo, and the individuals who attacked you today, you mentioned they were also visionists, yeah?
Correct.
Interesting.
We
I do
got
not think
we got that information from Shazarash, though, right?
Mm.
that they were visionists.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and there was
yeah.
visible reaction from the dude when
Yeah.
Shazarek started pulling the information out.
Yeah. Sure. Should just continue to
Play with the hair.
conspiracy theory into her hands.
Yeah, I mean, this doesn't do anything for us right now because the 5 of you are the owners of the stone. It is, forgive the imposition, Your Majesty, it is not our place to sell it or communicate ownership. So it's entirely up to you. If you would like to sell it, it seems as though the Ulsonites would buy it, but I think some investigation could be good.
Mm. Yes. Well, I guess we will have to discuss what we want to do with it. Our main concern is it's not getting into hands of someone or an organization that would potentially want to use it for negative things. It's not something that I really study, yes, but being harnessed to something for good, I don't really know how that could be done unless you can reverse engineer and find a way to use it to mitigate the same kind of effect on people. I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, that is the thing about magic. We can come up with ideas and theories and tie different strands of the weave together to try to make spells, but ultimately it is difficult to know how they will act. Imagine being the first wizard to discover teleportation magic. I can't imagine that was deliberate. So it is curious. I think tomorrow, after I get the chance to take a look at it and investigate it, I can help let you know whether or not selling the stone, if that is something you even want to do, may or may not be a good idea after an initial impression. But either way, that's not a today problem. Not yet, at least. And the king. Yes, I'm afraid I do have some business to attend to. Thank you very much for taking the time to be understanding and offering your assistance. It is relieving to have more people know this.
It must have
So-
been a great weight on you.
He kind of gives like a forced smile. If there's anything you need, I'm sure El Romeo Silence and perhaps Natalie will be able to assist you. But for now, I have some things to attend to. And he kind of gives just like a head nod and starts making his way out of the dining hall. At
We'll,
which
like,
point,
give a
the
bow
servants'
to
quarter
his-
doors just burst open, and Fabian comes out with a tray. And you can see he's like sweating down the sides, and there are little triangular croissants, sort of like stacked up on top of each other, sort of like wafting this warm steam. And walks over to the table and then realizes there's no one there and looks over, and everyone's just standing on the other side of the hall, and starts to slowly make his way across the room, at which point Meladria is like, I need to go, and starts walking out of the hall as well. And Fabian kind of increases his pace as he walks up to the rest of you, and specifically walks up to you, Aery. Sorry, I've forgotten the name. What were these called again?
Yeah, I can't remember. You know, it was just like a thing everyone was eating a few years ago.
Well, I did my best to recreate them. And he holds up the tray in front of you.
I'll take one and eat it. Is it good?
Okay. It is very, very warm, light, and fluffy. It's like a fresh baked croissant base, but on the inside, as it has been folded and wrapped, he basically did like the wonton thing, where he took like meat and different little veggies that he spiced and placed inside, so that as the croissant baked, the inside would like sort of cook, and the juices would kind of soak out. It's almost like a croissant meat pie. It's light, it's fluffy, it's good. It's for someone who's like improvising something like this, because maybe he was a little too prideful to admit he didn't know what they were. It's not bad. Like, you get the sense this could probably be refined into like an actual thing.
Yeah, you know, this is pretty good. It's not anything like what I was thinking of, but I think you may have just like invented like a new meal, and so maybe you should like patent it or something so no one else can steal it from you.
Right.
It's good. That's the takeaway. It's good.
He kind of like narrows his eyes, picks one up and takes a bite.
What do you think?
I think it's great.
I
Did-
agree.
Did you not try it before giving it to a guest? Do you not?
Would anyone
drink
else
it?
like one? And looks now at the rest of you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you reach over, you taste it. Again, same thing. It's surprisingly good. Yours, when you bite into it, actually has like just like a little bit of juice from the inside of it, like a dumpling almost, but with the warm croissant, flaky top to it.
Hell yeah. Give me carbs.
I will take one and wrap it in a napkin for later because I don't want to ruin my app. But I cannot leave that man hanging.
Yes. Love it. He kind of thinks to himself and offers it around. El Romuor takes one and seems to enjoy it. Silence. Doesn't even acknowledge that it is like being offered to him. Finally, Fabian is just like garlic butter, and starts making his way back over to the kitchen. Leaving the rest of you there.
He's a strange man.
I think he just used you as a guinea pig, Aery.
Yeah, well, I have, you know, impeccable taste, so understandable.
True. Very sought after opinion.
I
Fair.
admire that he was confident enough in his work that he didn't feel like he needed to try it first. But I am also glad that it did not suck.
It can be a bit of a crapshoot. Sometimes it's good, and sometimes not so much. I say, if there is anything else we can help you with.
No,
I don't think so.
I don't think so for now. Were we wanting to stay? Perhaps it is a good idea for us to remain in the study as to not accidentally bump into Shazarak if we went out into the town.
You mean we're staying here until everyone's like done with their work and can come talk to us again?
At
How
which
long will
point,
that be exactly?
Silence says, I have a prior obligation at midday. And
Yes, I really don't see why we all need to stick around here. I mean, if some of us are leaving anyway, then there's no extra risk in others going too.
Yes, you have an appointment, don't you? Me? You should probably go to that.
Yes, I'm going shopping. Thank you for reminding me.
You have
I
an
would hate for you to
appointment?
forget.
You have an appointment to go shopping?
Yes, it's a very exclusive boutique.
Can Bryn insight check her?
absolutely. Emmy, make a deception check.
Okay, that is a 19. What is my deception?
Ooh, wow.
I think it's good.
Yeah, I don't think even with a 23, I'm not sure if Bryn can beat if you rolled a 19.
This is 22.
22. Yeah. Something doesn't line up.
What was the boutique's name, Emmy? I'm interested to see. I mean, you have impeccable taste.
Well, I'd be happy to show you sometime, but I couldn't do this time because it would be rude to bring a guest when I haven't.
Oh, yes, I'll just walk you to the
RSVP'd.
boutique. That's fine, and then I can arrange an appointment for another time.
You know, I think as many of us should stay here as possible. It is true that what you said, if we accidentally run into Shazarak, Emmy has an appointment that she has to go to, but we shouldn't be out if we don't need to.
Well, then
I'm
Yeah,
not
that's such a good
entirely
point,
certain a
Aery.
fashion appointment is more important than this.
It's
An
a
appointment is an
very
appointment. Some of us
exclusive-
care about whether we are rude.
Yes, exactly. I wouldn't want to be rude.
Who of you
It's true.
interacted the most with this changeling? Perhaps you could tell me of his behaviors and we could try to plan out some different scenarios.
Yes, actually, Bryn spoke to him in great depth. I was barely there.
Yes, I'm sure you can get me a business card while you're there, Emmy.
I will absolutely get you a business card.
At your fashion appointment. Perhaps, I could give you some gold. Would you be able to pick me up an accessory? Because you have really good taste, so...
If you would, you want me to choose for you, I can do that.
Of course. I mean, look at you. Why would I not want something that you've picked out?
That is true. All right.
Yes, of course, Romeo, I will be happy to assist with as much information as I can give you.
I feel like I'm missing something,
You're not.
but
There's nothing to miss.
okay.
What you should know about this guy is annoying. Number 1, very annoying. 2, if he likes your face, he is going to wear it. You should know that.
Should
Should
I?
we be offended that he only wants to be Aery then?
No, you shouldn't be offended. It just
I
makes
mean,
sense.
look at him. Can you blame Shazarak?
Yeah, I get it.
I mean, I'm surprised that he hasn't used Emmy's face.
Or yours.
No,
I mean, he
I'm...
may have in the past. We haven't seen him using all of his
No,
faces.
I mean, it's just 100% of the time that we've seen him. It's been Aery, hasn't it?
Yes.
Weird.
That awful little man.
And also an old man. I just feel like
And an old man.
they're not really related, are they?
Mm. Anyway, I guess I'll head to the study if people have places to be. And she'll hand Emmy a platinum piece and be like, oh, so you know the usual place.
I'm gonna be busy now. I have to run.
Short for the sake of time. There's probably like an hour until midday and Emmy's lunch. Is there anything that anyone else wants to get done today before we hop into that?
The only thing that I wanted to do was to broach the topic of going and getting a tattoo done. But
Yes.
we have
I
mentioned
do remember
about
that.
not leaving. So I don't really know that I can. I might just stand around awkwardly.
Yeah.
Could sit awkwardly.
True, could sit awkwardly.
Yeah. If you bring up the idea with El Romior, he probably suggests doesn't have to be today, especially with a mind reading changeling out there.
Yeah, I'm just gonna chill. Just gonna have a good time.
If you have a specific desire for it, then he sees no reason to stop you.
Nah, I'll just chill.
Yeah. Okay.
If Emmy is insisting on going out, I'm going to drop a death ward on her before she leaves.
Death ward.
Yep. You know, just in case she fucking dies.
The usual.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay, Emmy. What do? You are given free rein to leave and depart. Silence goes to attend to some work in his office before midday, so he's not immediately available, leaving you basically free on your own until the sort of midday point.
Well, the way we agreed to meet was he was going to like send an envoy to come get me from where we're staying.
Yep.
Seems a bit counterintuitive for him to be like in the next room and I go back home so that someone can pick me up. But also she's trying to be sneaky. Do I see like where, like, did he walk off into a room that I could just follow him into and he isn't with other people, or is he with other people?
He's still got like his office on the ground floor. Like the study is fully upstairs. I imagine that if everyone else went to the study, they went upstairs, and it's entirely yeah. I think that there is definitely a moment where like he separated from the group and went to his office and sort of left the door open. Everyone else kind of went upstairs, leaving you to either go outside and leave or kind of go to his office.
Okay, then I
would say there's a window there.
Very awkwardly approach his office door and do that like quiet knock thing, even though he's probably looking right at me.
Yeah, no, he's like gone around his desk, and you can see he's looking at some papers and looks up and sees you and gives a smile and a brief nod. I have a bit of work to attend to, but I do look forward to our lunch. Would you like to wait, or I can send for you?
Oh, of course. I wasn't saying like now or anything. It's just, I was just wondering where we're meeting.
Oh, and he kind of reaches over to the desk, pulls out like a small sheet of paper and scribbles something across it and folds it over and hands it over to you.
Thank you. 12 o'clock, right?
12 o'clock.
I'll see you then. I'll head out.
Yep.
I'm making a beeline for a expensive-looking place to buy jewelry.
Absolutely. The western end of the city where you are staying has a lot of high-end boutiques relatively close to the center of town by the central keep.
Okay.
You're able to find many.
I'm going to look for a place that sells. Oh, she gave me a platinum. A place that sells very high-end fabrics. I think I'm going to go for like a scarf shawl type situation for her.
Yeah. Make an intelligence check for me real quick.
Oh no. That is okay. My intelligence actually okay. It's my wisdom is terrible. Six.
Perfect. No, yeah, absolutely. You find a place that specializes in high-end fabrics. You see
I hate
that.
the way you said that.
You see that there are a couple of like different scarves and shawls and jackets lining the wall, all for different purposes. You also see there's this beautiful like silver and blue scarf that is like 3/4 of the way done, and the ends are still like not quite finished just yet. But it just catches your eye.
That is exactly what I was looking for. Yes. The scarf, is someone currently working on it, or is it just sitting there?
Not
like,
currently.
ready?
It's sort of on display as like, hey, we do custom stuff. This is what we're currently working on. And you can see there's almost like this sort of flowing pattern set into it as well. Yeah.
Try to find someone who's working there.
Absolutely. The attendant is actually a dragonborn. And you can see he's kind of got like these tiny little spectacles on the end of his snout. His eyes seem to have just a little bit of age in them, and he's got a little bit of hunch to the neck. And yes, my dear, what can I assist you with?
Actually, I was wondering about the scarf that you have in progress over there, the one with the silver thread.
He looks over. Yes, that was a custom order we received a small while ago.
Oh, I see.
Would
So
you?
it's spoken for?
I'm afraid, yes. We may be able to create a second if you are interested. Now that we have much of the pattern solved, we could probably have a second one finished for you by perhaps midday tomorrow.
Actually, that would be perfect because I am under a bit of a time crunch here, but I love the thread, love the colors, love what you do. I was wondering though, around the borders of the scarf, I was thinking, could we add some like florals, like vines, flowers, maybe even just plant life?
Of course, and you can see he kind of goes down to the side and pulls out like this very, very large scrapbook. What type of fabrics are you hoping to do these patterns out of?
Well, I was thinking perhaps some kind of like an embroidery in maybe, well, silver might blend a bit too much with the scarf. Maybe like a sage green to go with the blue and the silvers.
Yes, I could see that working quite well. Perhaps we could even accent with, as the base is silver and metallic, slate grey would add accent, shadow, as it were.
Yes, that sounds lovely.
Of course.
So yes, that's all I need.
That
Really.
may extend the time by a bit. We could say tomorrow evening. I could have it done for you.
Tomorrow evening works. What sort of price point are we looking at here?
For a custom piece like this with the thread and the embroidery, since the pattern has already been solved, plus materials, I would say somewhere around I do like the design quite a bit. We'll call it 4 gold.
4 gold is perfect. Let's do that. I wonder, do you think that there'd be any, I mean, this is a gift, you see, and I do have a little bit more of a budget that I can work within here, so
Mm-hmm.
It's some embellishments, perhaps, for the ends of the skull. I don't know, something to make it pop.
We could do a gradient of white and silver trim on the ends with the green accent that you mentioned. Another thing that we might be able to do is perhaps a cuff on the wrist, something not directly attached, but a deliberate counterpoint or contrast.
That is interesting. That sounds lovely.
I would say the addition of a themed cuff we could do for an additional 1 gold. And for the embroidery along the edges, we'll call it an additional 2 gold for the cost of the thread. I do hope to clarify that this is worked silver thread. I would recommend being very careful and delicate with it. But surely
The
you already
recipient
know
is
all of this.
always careful and delicate.
Of course. For a total, that would be 7 gold for the added cuff and product and the barking dog.
Do you have a dog back there?
It was like perfectly in the cadence of like talk, stop for dog, dog. Yes, quite a nuisance. It's the nose. But
small and fluffy, I imagine. Something with poodle in it. Awful dogs.
Boisterous, full of energy. Either way, with all of the additions, that would push it back a bit more to, say, tomorrow nightfall. We could try to rush the job and have it done sooner, but I'm afraid that would increase the price.
It's all right. I could pay a rush fee. That works.
I would say for 8 gold, we could probably have it done by tomorrow at midday. For 9, we could have it done tomorrow morning. And for 10, we may be able to finish it tonight.
I think tomorrow is fine. I could pick it up, say, in the afternoon.
That sounds fair. We'll do
Wonderful.
8 gold for that then.
Done. And may I put a small embroidered message on the inside of the cuff?
Of course.
I would like it to say...
With love, congratulations. My condolences.
With affection. Eminence.
With affection. And to be clear, Eminence is your name, not the
Yes,
word.
with affection,
Yes.
comma,
Capital
Eminence.
E, yes.
Yes.
Just to ask before putting it in thread.
Oh, of course.
Wonderful. I quite love the additions that you're suggesting. I cannot wait to see it done myself.
Honestly, I think it's a little better than the one you're already making.
We will certainly find out tomorrow.
Yes, indeed. Anyway, I have an appointment. Would you like me to pay up front?
Oh, if you don't mind, our typical store fee is 25%, but whatever you're comfortable with. You seem to be of fine taste.
Yeah, I'll get out the 8 gold and hand it over.
He is very appreciative that you pay for the full thing up front.
It's not my money.
Oh, so you pull out the platinum piece and give it to him, and and
Well, I'm hoping that I'm terrible at keeping track of exactly what kind of pieces I have on me. I know I have enough gold, but I don't know if I would have like 8 gold pieces on me. That I
yeah,
could just give him.
most people, you get the sense that most people would be able to break change. And specifically in a high-end establishment, most people can break change for a platinum piece, especially one that
Okay.
like does custom orders of up to tens or hundreds of gold.
Yeah, in that case, I'll give him Bryn's platinum piece and get the change.
Yeah. Excellent. Is there anything else you would like to do?
No, I actually really must be going. I will see you tomorrow in the afternoon, and I will pick it up then.
Thank you so much, my dear. Eminence,
Thank
it
you
has
so
been
much.
a pleasure.
Likewise. And I'm gonna go find the restaurant.
Yes.
I hope it's a restaurant.
It is. It is. The restaurant that you are referred to is a place called Sira's. It is almost like an outdoor, like family Italian style. That's set in this. I hesitate to call it a garden, but there is grass underneath the tables and the chairs, and like a little cobblestone path that kind of runs in between all of them and goes to all of the different places. And it's not so much a restaurant as like an outdoor pavilion with these sort of covered tarps over the top. You can see that different flowers and plants have been brought in to sort of liven things up and brighten the atmosphere. And that the actual quote unquote restaurant is actually the building behind it, which you get the sense is like just the kitchen and like the bathroom, and that people sit outside underneath the tarps in the sun, in the shade, and that the food is sort of brought out. But as you start to head over, when you arrive, you see that there is Silence standing in the street, and he has what looks to be like a small package in his hand. And you can see he gives a smile as he sees you approach, and typical muted sort of smile.
I'll smile back and do the awkward thing when you like walk right up and you're like, is this a hug situation? Is it like a kiss on the cheek situation? Definitely not going to acknowledge the thing in his hands because that might not be a gift, even though it's like probably a gift.
Yeah, you kind of like do the thing a little bit, and he chuckles a little bit, and let's sit. And
Sorry. Whose fault is this one? Burrows. Chat's going off about his small package.
Oh, dang it. In his hands. That doesn't help. No.
Oh, God, oh no.
It's Canis all over again.
Okay, she'll take the seat. Opposite him.
He kind of pulls the chair out for you to see to sit before sitting himself, and you realize now at this point that many of the tables around you are empty. It is lunchtime. The place is busy, but space has been cleared for this. And as you continue to sit there, you see that like other people are being directed away. And he again pulls out the small like tissue paper, and I hope you don't mind the imposition, and offers it out to you.
Of course not. Thank you. And I'll unwrap it very carefully and try not to rip the tissue paper.
Yeah. You are able to open the package, and you see what appears to be like, gosh, I don't even know how to describe it. a fifth of a tiara with very fine gold chain coming up the sides and a single sort of like blue sapphire in the center. You get the sense that this is something that is worn like attached to your horns and then worn across your forehead. So it's sort of like a small blue sapphire in the center to accentuate your eyes.
I genuinely do not know what to say. This is too much. This is too much. And as I say it's too much, I am pulling it towards me.
He's kind of doing the sorry. I don't mean to make you uncomfortable.
You're not. Thank you. And I'll kind of like direct my attention to the fact that there are a lot of empty tables around us. Do you know people here?
Yes. I come here regularly, and Cisa is a good friend. One of the few people who I speak to.
Yes, I've noticed you don't speak much.
Yes. It started it's actually quite funny. When I was studying and was younger, my appearance, and he kind of motions to you as well, I'm sure you understand the feeling, off-puts other people around us. I have found that being silent alleviates the situation most of the time. People are more willing to speak if they think you're willing to listen.
That is so wise.
He kind of chuckles. It's really not.
So where do you come from then? Where did you grow up if you weren't around many other people who look like us?
I mean, wasn't necessarily the only tiefling, just not one of many. I'm sure you know there is a bit of a stigma with how our bloodline was created and all of that. But I am originally from Andapolis. I never knew my parents. I was adopted into a large family and sought an education with their support at the Veracium and Andapolis. And that was where I got this name.
I chose my name too.
And why Eminence?
I didn't have exactly the same experience as you. I grew up with my mother. My situation with my parents was complicated, and when I decided that I would rather live with my dad, I decided to try to do things a little more in the tiefling way, I suppose. I spent my whole childhood being told that it was something I shouldn't be. And I just decided at some point it's better to embrace it.
I appreciate that. That's very good of you. I noticed you and your sister don't like to talk about your family. Is everything okay, Eminence? Are you okay? We don't have to, if you don't want to. We can talk about other things.
No, it's fine. It's just I suppose I had certain expectations of what she would be like, and you asking me if I'm okay didn't fall in. It's you're very good at presenting the stoic, silent persona. But I'm fine. It's complicated, and my sister makes things more complicated, and we haven't always gotten along, but I'm fine.
Okay. Sure. And he kind of motions over, and you can see this half-elven woman, older, sort of hair kind of braided up, approaches. Cisa, this is Eminence. We will be doing lunch. Do you have any specific preferences, Eminence?
Oh, I'll eat anything. I'm not fussy. Is you said you've come here a lot? What's good?
I trust Cisa usually, and she knows what's fresh and what's good. And Cisa just kind of smiles, and also what I like to cook, and also what she likes.
Then I trust Cisa too.
She smiles. Will you be doing wine or? And silence. We do have some work later, so perhaps one glass.
Yeah, Eminence was like, yes, please, wine. Like, yeah. But remembering the last time Silence was around alcohol, she was not going to speak until he made that choice.
Yeah, Silence was doing the thing where like he was like looking and responding, then he was like double checking the response, so he didn't even like see your thing at all. But
Good.
Yeah, good.
One glass is fine.
One glass. To start, at least. And Cisa smiles and makes her way out.
Could I insight check perhaps whether this did Cisa seem surprised to see him here with a woman? Is this like something that she's like, yes, his Saturday afternoon date?
Make an insight check. Yeah. Does he take all of his dates to Cisa's?
Okay, this is actually a good roll. So it is a 21.
21. No, she didn't seem to be treating it as like this is his Saturday thing. She seemed to be like pleasantly surprised and trying to be accommodating without being like fucking finally silence, that sort of thing.
Oh, that's cute.
So she was very much like as she left, she put like a hand on his shoulder and smiled and like walked away, like that sort of thing. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes, that's she really is quite nice.
Do you have many friends outside of the castle? You said there aren't many people that you speak to, but it seems like it might be lonely.
I have plenty of work to keep me busy. El Romior and Naladri are nice. They can be a lot sometimes.
I get that impression.
They are nice. They mean well. I have Harry. Harry is my cat. And he is a very good listener.
I'm just quietly freaking out. That's me, not Eminence. I like cats. Perhaps one day I could meet him.
I think that would be very nice. I think that he would like you very much.
Cats tend to like me.
I can only wonder why. But as far as other people here in the city, not too many. I tend to keep to myself. It helps with the whole stoicism.
Yes. And it must be quite a burden to have to keep certain royal secrets. Naturally, in your position, like there must be many. And
There are enough, but I think you've learned enough royal secrets for today, Eminence.
oh no, I wasn't. I wasn't.
I know. I'm joking. Yes, it can be difficult sometimes, but it is and at that point you can see that like there's this weird like out of body expression that Silence just has as he's like looking for the right word, and then he just kind of seems to stop for a moment and then looks at you and then can a changeling turn into someone they had? No, he must have. And he stands up, and as you look over, you see Silence standing at the front of Cease's with a bouquet of roses. And that's where we're going to go ahead and end today's session.
Fuck you.
Ah, this makes me so happy.
Holy shit.
How dare you?
Exceptional.
Yeah, but who's the real one?
Incredible.
That's the real
Who's
question.
the real one? And now we have to wait a week to find out.
We have to
2
wait
weeks.
2 weeks.
No, we have to wait 2 weeks. They're off next week.
Wait 2 weeks. Ah.
You've done this to yourself.
I'm never playing this game again. This game is the worst.
Oh,
Played yourself.
amazing.
Put down the book and you're like, so Eminence lived happily ever after with Harry the cat. The end.
No boys needed.
Fucking change
Yeah.
it, I tell
I
you
was
what.
literally in the middle of writing down like you can't even see it because I wrote it in yellow, but like a list of all the things that happened on the date, being like, he was cute, he gave her a tiara, la 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 la, and then you pull that shit. Nah.
Now there's like question mark Shazarash question mark.
Fuck that guy.
Oh my
That's
god.
fun.
Yeah, does he even have a cat? Does he even have a cat named Harry?
Is there even a cat named Harry?
Look, I'm putting it in my head as canon that Silence is never fucking late. You know? So the guy out the front with the bouquet is Shazarash, because he's a dickhead.
But it won't be.
But
How can you tell
how do
because
Eminence showed up on time? What if she was early?
Eminence
Yeah.
wouldn't be early.
Eminence has been like really wanting this. She's a little desperate. Like,
Yes, but
she's
she also had to go across town to go buy something.
fucked up?
What's
Also-
up if true?
You know what? Nah. 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 It's my headcanon. It'll live in my head.
Oh, Brad,
there are
you
answers. I will be.
Everyone knew about the date because he can read minds.
Yeah, that's what I was just typing.
Ah!
I mean,
So-
only he knew about it, though.
I just to clear up any confusion right now, I already know which one is which. This is not something that I'm going to pick and choose and decide on the day. This is something that already has an answer, just to be clear. If that makes anyone feel any better.
Oh yeah,
really,
it
no.
does. But I'm
Probably.
refusing to admit anything other than that, like, Silence was the one that gave us the tiara. That is my headcanon. That is what happened.
If I got a COVID vaccine like tomorrow, they would let me on a plane.
Get the
Nope.
book.
Steal the notebook.
I want to beat your shit up, Dom.
Emmy's on her way to beat ass. Just absolutely throw hands.
Oh man. Boy, this this is it's so difficult now that we're trying to do more regular sessions and we've committed to like, let's go for like 3 hours without a break, because I'm like, great, we could get through so much stuff, and then we spent 2 hours talking to the king, and the entire time I was like, we're gonna have to end the session before the date.
That's why, yeah, I got to a point. I was like, the date's not happening today.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my God, it's not gonna happen.
Is the
It
date
doesn't
ever
matter.
going to happen? Did the date ever exist? Was the date just a concept? What is sweetheart?
Emmy never woke up this morning.
If we get robbed of the date because of this changeling bullshit, I swear to God, I will rain fire and hell onto this entire campaign. Any plot point, I'm gonna be like, no.
Yeah. No, she'll turn around, see that one, and just turn back around and be like, so anyway.
Yeah.
So eventually you just got to commit to one
Yeah.
and just hope.
Just
one's real?
Yeah, I'm choosing this one, and if it's not, let me live the life. How long can you keep
Yeah, but
this
also,
up?
let's be real. The silence in the date wasn't obnoxious, so how could it possibly be Shazarash?
The silence on the date was
But
also
silence is a little obnoxious.
no,
Yeah.
like extremely out of character for the
Well-
silence we've known up to this point.
Yeah, now we have 2 weeks to internally scream about this, and I feel like we're gonna get like every day like a new conspiracy from Burrows.
I will harass
an
you
essay.
all
Write us a
at exactly
thesis.
the same time every day with my new theory. Don't you worry.
Good.
Love it. Also, just as something that we could do, I imagine there's going to be a lot of planning for what would be the meeting later in the evening. That's something that we can do on stream next session, but that's also something we can do out of session if we want to move the narrative forward for the next time the game resumes after the resolution of the date. So that could be another avenue for us to go down.
Happy to do that.
But yeah, great session, everybody. I really enjoyed it. That was awesome. Angry
God damn it. It was so good. Fuck you.
good until the end. I also could see like the private chat and everybody saying things, and I'm just like, I gotta play it straight, man.
The composure was yeah.
Amazing.
Oh boy. Awesome. Well, in that case, we will not be back next week. We will be back in 2 weeks. Thank you for coming, everybody, and watching our 1-year anniversary stream for the Chocolatiers. Boy, oh boy, this has been awesome. It's been a journey. I am so grateful and thankful to have all of you playing here with me so much throughout the course of last year, and I am so excited to see where things continue to go from here, because there are threads. I love how I'm coming up with ideas, but then I'm also seeing how much you guys as a party are growing and just investing into this as well. It is so awesome. So big thank you to all of you for that. And of course to Twitch as well. Thank you for watching with us as well.
Are we
Cool.
doing
Great.
outros?
Yeah,
Or-
let's do outros.
I didn't want to impose on what you were saying.
No, it's totally fine. It was more of like an open extension.
Mm.
If there's
I'm so
anything.
angry. I don't want to talk right
Yes.
Me angry,
Thank
no
you.
speak.
Thank you for joining us as well and helping us
Yeah,
build the
Yeah.
campaign, all the like shit you do for us. Very cool. Even though right now you
Angry.
want to head in a little bit.
Angry. Yes. Okay, well then let's do some outros. Bryn, let's kick us off.
Hi everyone, thank you again, like everyone's been saying, for joining us for our 1-year anniversary. My name is Aery. I'm a variety streamer for Legacy Esports. I stream Wednesday through Friday and I have YouTube content coming out as well with random variety stuff too, soon. But yeah, I played Bryn, our Oath of Ancients paladin.
Awesome. Our wonderful Eminence.
Bye, everybody. I've been Nicole. I don't do much else online, so this is pretty much the only place you'll see me. But I'll take this time instead to say that I love these other 5 people. It's been so much fun, like playing this with everyone over the past year, and I never want it to end. And I love the creativity and the support that we have for each other behind the scenes, and the things that you guys don't sometimes get to see when we have our like little decompression sessions afterwards and stuff. It's just, we're a good bunch. I like us a lot. And thanks for joining us.
And the ever smiling Oriana.
I'm not getting my dog here on purpose. She just started having like a little bit of a moment.
A moment.
Hi, I am Levison. I play Oriana. I am a streamer and a cosplayer and a semi-professional dumbass. This is my dog Lily, and she loves us very much. That's why she's constantly interrupting. I love all these people. I don't have anything additional to say.
So much love. Aery.
Hello, I'm Jimmy Okat. I'm an artist and streamer, and sometimes everyone can know me cosplayer. Yes, I actually haven't been streaming that much recently, but for the next month or so, I should be doing very, very regular streams because I'm going to have so much free time. So hopefully see a bunch of you there. And yes, just reiterating, this campaign means like so much to me and to us. So yeah. Thank you all for joining us on the inconsistent, scheduled ride, but very happy to see you all here.
It's only just now that I realize that we've been doing this campaign for a year. We're 19 episodes in. So we're going to try to...
fortnightly. That's
Look,
not
I wasn't
that
going to
bad,
say anything
actually.
about that.
Only fortnightly for a while, which makes it difficult, but...
And
They're
COVID,
rookie
like, you know?
Yeah, and COVID. Yeah. We're going to
We're
get better
still-
numbers next year.
But still baby.
Yes. And our wonderful operator running the stream, Natalie.
Yeah, sweet talk me now, all right? Just you wait. Every day.
I'm trying to give like adjectives to everyone. I realized I didn't give one to Aery and Bryn, but just so you know, exuberant Aery and our exceptional Bryn or the adjectives I was going to write down for next session. So there you go.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Yep. While I plot DM's demise, can you tell I don't handle secrets very well? Anyway, I'm Burrows. I play Natalie. I have thoroughly enjoyed bringing Natalie back. Natalie is actually the first character I ever designed. She is also the latest, like most recent character. I've basically only played her. So it's a great time to just be myself in the form of a half-orc raging barbarian. So that's great. But yeah, I really appreciate the Chocolatiers and just spending time basically just sitting here RPing and occasionally hitting stuff while Dom just
undermines everything.
I don't know, just
Nothing is real.
I love
So
how
Nat-
upset you are, and it wasn't even Natalie's date. Like,
Why would I
goes on a
not be
date.
upset? I am upset on the half of the party, and I can't even talk anymore. I'm very angry.
we've got to get Natalie a date and then have her be betrayed in some kind of
Oh
really
my
dramatic
God,
way.
yes.
Please, I just need to see that breakdown.
Oh,
Why
man.
do you need it? I will kill someone. And then you all have to come to jail to bail me out because I have murdered some poor NPC who has like 4 hit points.
Oh, I thought you meant in real life. I was like, hell yeah, I wouldn't even let you go to jail. But just don't do it on stream.
Do you? Okay, no. No, I can't. I can't.
Taking notes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
all great. You're actually all wonderful. Just be prepared. I will maybe post all these theories in Discord, so get your ass in there if you want to see them.
Please.
They may get a bit like aliens are coming conspiracy theory level, but it's fine.
We'll see how far off we go from there. But I am Dom. I have been the Dungeon Master for the Chocolatiers. It's been awesome, and all of you are great. We'll be back in 2 weeks if you're interested in more stuff that I'm doing. Rorik in chat. Sorry, Dom can't DM anymore. Burrows murders us. Yeah, Chocolatiers will be back in 2 weeks with a new Dungeon Master. Now, if you're interested in more of the stuff that I'm doing, you can head over to my Twitter, which is literally just Dom Romer. I'm doing music, and I have committed to actually recording drafts of songs. I have so many ideas, so there will be a lot more music going up soon. I've even got my recording stuff all set up. So if you like music, amateur music, that's totally fine too. But Dungeons & Dragons, Chocolatiers, 2 weeks, cannot wait. I am very excited for how things continue to move going forwards, and cannot wait to see us at the end of our 2nd year anniversary. Only 365 days to go.
Until we
And
commit.
yeah, yeah, at that point. But that's it for us. Are we ready to ship off for the night?
We sure are, but I just need to do something for dramatic effect. Okay, excellent. This is the threat going out there.
You need a voice modifier.
I do have one, however, it is busted today, so we'll save that for later. But we are actually going to go over and say hello to some people who are playing some more D&D, but they're also, I'm guessing, Aussie. Their name has Aussie in it, so let's assume they're Australian. Melbourne. Haha.
Hey.
Success. So let's go say
Nice.
hello.
Cool. We're doing that. Awesome. Thank you for watching, everybody. We will be back in 2 weeks. Have a happy April. See you soon.